is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the raggy dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls.
raggy dolls
Raggy
are
dolls.
happy just to be raggy dolls, raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. It was a very hot, cloudy summer's day. The raggy dolls were in the big field on their way to the treehouse.
Phew, said Dotty. Let's rest. I feel all sticky. It's just the sort of day when you don't know what to do,
Observed Lucy.
It makes me feel sad,
Said Princess. Everyone was feeling down in the dumps. I know, said Back to Front. Let's go and see Pumpernickel. He'll soon cheer us up. Everyone agreed. But when they got to Pumpernickel's field, he was feeling sad too. Oh, hello, he said wearily. What brings you dolls out here on a day like this?
It's too stuffy indoors, explained Dotty.
Explained the Scarecrow. I can't stand weather like this. It makes me all weak and feeble. Just then, a fly landed on his nose. Shoo, he said crossly. Be off with you. But the fly wouldn't budge. And of course, with his arms stuck out on a pole, Pumpernickel couldn't do anything about it. Give me a hand, will you? He begged. Dotty picked a dandelion leaf, climbed up on Back to Front's shoulders, and swatted away the fly. But as soon as she climbed down, the fly buzzed back and sat on Pumpernickel's nose again. Bother, he exclaimed. Now I've got a good soaking to look forward to.
How do you mean?
Asked Lucy. It's a sure sign of rain, said Pumpernickel, going cross-eyed, staring at the fly. If a fly lands on your nose, swat it till away it goes. If the fly then lands again, it'll bring back heavy rain. The raggy dolls were impressed. How does a fly know it's going to rain? Asked Sad Sack. I don't know, but they do, said Pumpernickel. They always try and settle somewhere, usually on a tree or a wall. He raised his voice to the fly, who took the hint and buzzed off. Claude laughed. Ha! You English, you are always talking about the weather, n'est-ce pas?
That's 'cause we never know what it's going to do,
said Lucy, by way of an explanation. Ah, but there's many a country way of telling, said Pumpernickel. But suppose a fly doesn't land on your nose, said Sad Sack. Wow, then there's the dandelions and daisies, explained the Scarecrow.
What about them?
Asked Princess, still feeling sad. See for yourself, said Pumpernickel. They close up, another sure sign of rain. Princess looked, and sure enough, all the dandelions and daisies along the path were closed up. She wandered off, looking for more flowers, to see if they were closed too. Meanwhile, Pumpernickel was telling the others about cows. When a cow tries to scratch its ear, that means a shower is very near. When it clumps its side with its tail, look out for thunder, lightning, and hail. Just then, there was a rumble of distant thunder. I'd go and shelter if I was you, advised the Scarecrow, casting an expert eye on the gathering clouds above. I don't think it'll last long. It's just what we need to settle the dust and clear the air. When he looked down again, the raggy dolls had gone. They had only just managed to reach the factory before the rain came down in buckets. I'm puffed out, puffed Sad Sack. Me too, sighed Back to Front, who always found running difficult because he couldn't see where he was going. Suddenly, Lucy gasped.
Where's Princess?
The raggy dolls looked at each other, but nobody knew. Princess had wandered a long, long way down the path. The hot, stuffy weather had made her feel quite miserable. Now she looked at all the pretty wild flowers and began to feel very sorry for herself.
Oh, Why am I always in rags? She sniffed. I wish I was a real princess. She was close to tears when she heard the thunder. Oh my goodness, she exclaimed. She realized she was all alone and lost. Oh dear, she sobbed. What am I going to do? Princess ran towards the nearest trees. She was almost there when an ear-splitting crack of thunder burst over her head. It was so loud, she fainted into a muddy puddle. When she came to her senses, she opened her eyes and was astonished to find herself warm and dry in a curious little home under the roots of a tree. What's your name? Said a voice. It was a little goblin dressed in green. Where am I? Said Princess, looking around the shabby little home. Welcome to Rainbow's End, said the goblin. What's your name? Princess, said Princess shyly. The goblin laughed. Ha! You don't look much of a princess to me, he said. Look at you, all bedraggled and covered in mud. The mud was accidental, protested Princess. Anyway, it's not my fault if the machine went wrong and made me a reject. A reject? What's a reject? Asked the goblin, suddenly interested. Princess explained how the machine in Mr. Grimes's factory had dressed her in rags and cropped her hair, and how she should have had a proper dress and a crown of her own. So you see, she sobbed, I wasn't good enough, and now I'm a reject. There, said the goblin. It's a sad tale you tell, sure enough, but, he added slyly, it's nothing a bit of money can't put right. What do you mean? Sniffed Princess, still sorry for herself. The goblin explained that a rainbow would soon appear and end at the very spot where they stood. And if Princess cleaned and scrubbed the goblin's home from top to bottom, she could take half his gold.
Well, to be sure.
Princess took a deep breath. I'll do it, she said. And so, while the lazy goblin watched, Princess cleaned and scrubbed, polished and dusted until her hands were quite sore. At last the goblin was satisfied. Now, he said, it's time for the rainbow. He opened a little window in the roots of the tree and placed the mirror on the table. Then he placed an empty treasure chest in the corner of the room. Any minute now, said the goblin, rubbing his hands greedily. Suddenly, all the colours of the rainbow shone through the little window, hitting the mirror on the table. The room was filled with dancing colours, and in the corner, the treasure chest was filling up with gold. Princess could not believe her eyes. At last, the chest was full. The greedy goblin turned to Princess and growled, I don't need you anymore. He quickly turned the mirror towards her. In a flash, Princess found herself outside again, sitting in a muddy puddle. It had stopped raining, the sun was shining, and the air was fresh and clear. She could hear the other Raggy Dolls calling her. She stood up and waved. Here I am, she called. She was so pleased to see the others again. She hugged them all in turn. Oh, look, pointed Lucy. There's a rainbow. Isn't it beautiful? It looks quite near, observed Dotty. Let's see if we can find where it ends, suggested Back to Front. There might be a pot of gold. Oh, no, said Princess quickly. Who needs silly whole gold? Let's go and see if Pumpernickel's all right. Good thinking, said Dotty. After all, that's what friends are for. And so, arm in arm, the Raggy Dolls set off for Pumpernickel's field.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls
Raggy Dolls
are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was a fine sunny morning, and Sad Sack was feeling hungry. There was a dull ache deep down in his tummy. That's where food ought to be, he thought. He looked at the others. They were fast asleep. I know, thought Sad Sack. I'll make everyone a surprise breakfast. He quietly climbed out of the reject bin and made his way to the canteen. It was still too early for anyone to be about, or so he thought. "G'day," said a voice, and before Sad Sack could gather his wits, a big toy kangaroo hopped off a tabletop and landed right in front of him. "How's it going, sport?" said the cheerful stranger. "Where did you come from?" spluttered Sad Sack. "You made me jump." The kangaroo grinned. "Oh, no, mate, you didn't jump. I did." And to prove his point, the kangaroo jumped back on top of the table, over to the cooker, and high in the air towards the sink. "Now this is what you call jumping." "Look out!" yelled Sad Sack. There was a crash as saucepans went flying, and a splash as the kangaroo landed in a bowl of washing up water. "Whoops," said the kangaroo, looking sheepish. "I don't suppose you could give us a hand, could you?" The soaking wet kangaroo was too heavy to climb out of the washing up bowl by himself. Sad Sack got a chair and tried to help him out. He heaved but couldn't keep his grip. The soapy water had made the kangaroo all slippery. "What on earth is going on?" demanded Dotty. "What a mess!" exclaimed Princess. "G'day," said the kangaroo, dripping all over Sad Sack. "No worries, just a slight mishap." Sad Sack groaned. "You're squashing me." "Sorry, sport," said the kangaroo. "No hard feelings." "Struth," muttered the soggy kangaroo. "I'm as floppy as a dingo's tongue." The Raggy Dolls helped him up. "We shall have to dry you out somehow," said Dotty. "We'd better clear up this mess first," said Lucy. "It won't be long before the factory opens." I'd like to give you a hand," he said. "But right now, I'm about as much use as a chocolate teapot." Sad Sack was not amused. All he could think about was missing his breakfast. When the tidying up was done, there was another problem: how to move the kangaroo. "He's much too wet and slippery to carry," observed Lucy. "No problem. We can use my wheelbarrow." With some difficulty, the Raggy Dolls pushed the kangaroo all the way to the big field. Exhausted, they sat down, just as the factory hooter blew to signal the start of another working day. "Phew," said Dotty. "Just in time." The kangaroo put a wet arm around Sad Sack's neck. "Cheers, Cobber," he said. "You and your pals are real sports, no mistake. Rupert's the name, Rupert the Roo, all the way from down under." "Qu'est-ce que c'est this down under?" asked Claude. "I'm from Sydney," said Rupert. "You must have heard of Sydney." "Who's Sydney?" asked Sad Sack. "It's a place, silly," said Princess. "Sydney, Australia." The kangaroo explained that he was a mascot for an Australian airline. The airline had placed a big order with Grime Soft Toys to supply lots of souvenir kangaroos for their gift shop at London Airport. Rupert had been sent as an example for the factory to copy. "That means Mr. Grimes will be looking for you," warned Back to Front. "Ah, let him look," said the kangaroo. "I've been cooped up in a parcel for 2 weeks. I need to go jump about." "Well, you won't be jumping for a while yet," said Dotty. "It'll take ages for your stuffing to dry out." Meanwhile, up in the office, Mr. Grimes was searching his desk. "Now where in the world has that kangaroo gone?" he thought. Just then, Florrie Fosdyke, the absent-minded canteen lady, came in with his morning cup of coffee.
Ah, Florrie, he said. Have you seen a kangaroo? I've seen a picture of one, she said, and I've seen them on the telly. Funny-looking things, I must say. No, said Mr. Grimes. Not a real one, a toy one. I'm sure I left it on my desk.
Is it important? Asked Florrie.
Very, said Mr. Grimes. I need it for that big airport order.
Maybe the foreman's got it, suggested Florrie.
Ah, yes. We'd better check, though. Ask him to come and see me right away, will you, Florrie?
Florrie hurried off to find the foreman, taking Mr. Grimes' cup of coffee with her. Mr. Grimes searched his desk again.
Now, where's my cup of coffee? He thought. I was sure it was on my desk.
Outside, the sky had become more and more overcast, and now the sun had disappeared behind a big cloud.
Ledge!
The kangaroo sneezed.
Struth, what's happened to the sun? How am I supposed to get dry now?
What about a mangle? Suggested Sadsack, still annoyed with the kangaroo for making him miss breakfast. Maybe there's another way, said Back to Front thoughtfully. Yeah, no problem. Hi-Fi, you come with me. We'll meet the rest of you back at the treehouse. Whatever is he up to? Said Lucy, watching them go. We'll find out soon enough, said Dotty. Come on, anything's better than sitting here waiting for the sun. The kangaroo sneezed again.
Hedge!
Do you think you can manage to hop a little? Asked Princess kindly.
You bet, said the kangaroo. No worries.
Dotty and Lucy each held a paw as the wet kangaroo hopped and squelched his way over towards the treehouse. When at last they got there, Hi-Fi and Back to Front were waiting for them, with a long piece of rope and a short wooden plank.
Right, said Back to Front. This is what we do.
In no time at all, the Raggy Dolls had made a swing, tied to one of the highest branches above the treehouse.
I don't get it, said the kangaroo. You will, chuckled Back to Front. You're looking at the Raggy Dolls Deluxe Kangaroo Spin Dryer.
Everyone was puzzled until Back to Front explained. He told Rupert to put his tummy on the seat and hold tight. Next, the Raggy Dolls twisted the swing round and round until it was as high as it could go.
Are you ready?
Called Back to Front.
Fair dinkum, replied Rupert. No worries. All right, let go, said Back to Front.
Slowly at first, the swing began to unwind. Then it gathered speed. Faster and faster it went, throwing out drops of water like a shower of rain. The Raggy Dolls had to run for cover.
Where am I? He said. Everything's going round and round. I'm as giddy as a fruit bat in a whirlwind.
Maybe so, said Princess, but at least you're dry.
Struth, you're right. It worked, said Rupert. Thanks, mates. You're real bonds of pals.
Just then, the sun came out again. The kangaroo jumped for joy.
Yahoo, yahoo, I'm Rupert the Roo!
And he jumped and bounced all over the big field. Next day, Mr. Grimes was amazed to see the missing toy kangaroo back on his desk. And as for Sadsack, he overslept. Just to be on the safe side, he'd had his breakfast the night before.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls,
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
That was a... It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. Raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls,
raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls,
raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls.
made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the raggy dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls,
raggy dolls
Raggy
are
dolls.
happy just to be raggy dolls, raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was a cold and frosty Saturday morning. All the Raggy Dolls were asleep, except for Dotty. She was out jogging. The cold air stung her nose, but she didn't mind. She stopped to catch her breath.
Where are you going, my pretty?
Said a voice. Oh, good morning, said Dotty. I didn't see you there.
Sorry if I startled you,
Cackled the bird, not sounding sorry at all. Oh, that's all right, said Dotty. I was just thinking what a lovely morning it is. Everything looks so
magical?
suggested the raven. Why, yes, agreed Dotty. I suppose frost is a kind of magic. The raven screeched with laughter.
Then you'd better enjoy it while you can.
Whatever do you mean? Asked Dotty.
Don't you know what day it is today?
Of course I do. It's Saturday. Now, if you don't mind, I'm getting cold and...
No, snapped the raven. The date! I mean the date!
I'm not sure.
Sorry, my dear. I didn't mean to shout. Am I forgiven?
I suppose so, said Dotty. But will you excuse me? I really ought to be going.
Of course, my pretty. Of course.
The raven watched as Dotty jogged away into the mist. The Raggy Dolls were tucking into a big breakfast of tea and toast when Dotty got back to the factory. Ah, there you are, said Back to Front. Would you like some tea? Oh, yes, please, said Dotty. The Raggy Dolls looked at one another. Something was wrong. Dotty was usually full of energy and ideas after her morning run. Sad Sack offered her a piece of toast. There's plenty more, he said. Dotty didn't seem to hear. She took a bite of toast and ate it slowly. At last she spoke. What day is it today? I think it's October the something, but I don't know what, said Princess. Why don't we go up to the office and have a look at the calendar, suggested Back to Front. Good thinking, said Dotty, feeling more like her old self again. Come on, everybody. Sad Sack watched the others go and took a big bite of buttered toast. He munched happily and decided that exactly halfway was his favourite part of anything nice. Not only have I enjoyed it so far, he thought, but I've got just as much enjoyment to come. Up in Mr. Grimes' office, the others were checking the desk calendar. It's October the 31st, said Lucy. What's so special about that? Wondered Princess. Of course, exclaimed Dotty. Honestly, how could I be so dim? I do not understand, said Claude. Halloween, said Dotty. Tonight is Halloween. I've always wondered when it was, said Princess. And now we know, said Lucy, feeling excited and very brave. I do not know, protested Claude. What is this Halloween? Oh, it goes right back to olden times, said Dotty, when people believed in witches and goblins and spooky things. That's right, said Back to Front. Nowadays they just have parties where they dress up and try and scare each other. And I think that's precisely what we should do, announced Dotty. Ooh, said Lucy. Do you mean have a Halloween party all of our own? Dotty nodded, and everyone agreed. Let's go and tell Sad Sack, stammered Hi-Fi. It's not fair, moaned Sad Sack. Why aren't Back to Front and Hi-Fi getting dressed up? Because they're working on a special display or something, said Dotty. It's a surprise, explained Lucy. Something to do with lights and laser beams, Hi-Fi said. I can't wait, said Princess. It sounds really exciting. And scary, added Lucy.
I don't see the point in trying to scare each other, said Sadsack. We all know who we are, dressed up or not.
Cheer up, mon ami, said Claude. You can help me barbecue the sausages on the bonfire. Sadsack had completely forgotten about the bonfire and the sausages.
Maybe Halloween parties aren't so bad after all, he thought.
By the time it was dark, everything was ready for a really scary night. The Raggy Dolls made their way to the small field near the treehouse. It was soon safe enough to stand near the little bonfire and keep warm. Claude and Sadsack took their long devil's forks and began cooking sausages. Where have Back to Front and Hi-Fi got to? Wondered Dotty. I wonder what their surprise will be like, added Lucy. No sooner had she spoken than a strange green light appeared in the sky. The Raggy Dolls all clapped. The Raggy Dolls cheered and clapped again. Sadsack quite forgot what he was doing and burnt a sausage. Brilliant, cried Dotty. What an ugly old hag! The Raggy Dolls laughed. How dare you! Screeched the witch. I'll turn you all into cabbages! Oh dear, Lucy giggled. Then we shall all be as green as you. Silence! Screamed the witch. How dare you laugh at me! Be off with you, taunted Princess, or you won't get any sausages. The Raggy Dolls laughed and laughed, and the witch got smaller and smaller and disappeared in a puff of green smoke. Bravo, Back to Front, shouted Claude. Encore, Hi-Fi! Come on, get your saucissons! There was no reply. Perhaps they're putting everything away, suggested Lucy. The fire had nearly gone out by the time Back to Front and Hi-Fi joined them. Everyone clapped again.
We've saved you some sausages, said Sadsack.
Well done, exclaimed Dotty. That was a simply splendid, marvellous show. What show? Stammered Hi-Fi. Yeah, said Back to Front, puzzled. We had a few problems with the laser beams, so we made this instead. He held up a rather feeble-looking skeleton made of wood. Lucy's knees started knocking. Then who made the witch? She whimpered. Which witch? Said Back to Front. The witch! Oh, never mind, said Dotty. Just keep laughing, everybody. Why? Asked Hi-Fi. It's obvious that real witches don't like being laughed at, whispered Princess. Ha ha ha! What a silly old witch, called Dotty. Let's all go home now, ha ha ha! And laughing as loudly as they could, the Raggy Dolls walked and then ran back to the factory as fast as their legs could carry them.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls,
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
Much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the the raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls,
raggy dolls,
raggy dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls,
raggy dolls,
raggy dolls,
raggy dolls.
made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the raggy dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls,
raggy dolls
raggy dolls.
are happy just to be raggy dolls, raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was the afternoon of November the 5th. The Raggy Dolls were up in the treehouse, explaining to Claude all about bonfire night.
But I do not understand. Why did this Guy Fawkes wish to blow up the Houses of Parliament?
I don't really know, said Dotty. Anyway, they caught him, and that's why people remember the 5th of November. I think it's horrible burning someone on a bonfire, no matter what they've done, said Lucy solemnly. Yeah, agreed Back to Front. But that was in the old days. People are much more civilized now. Anyway, the fireworks are lots of fun, said Princess. We should get a good view from up here. Sad Sack was more interested in the future than in history.
I think we ought to have something to nibble while we watch,
he suggested. Good thinking, said Dotty. Let's go and see what's in the canteen. Some soup would be nice, said Lucy.
Good idea,
said Back to Front.
Florrie Fosdyke's always got soup. Maybe there's a thermos flask we can borrow.
Excited about what sort of soup it might be, the Raggy Dolls set off down the stairs inside the old hollow tree. They were halfway across the big field when Claude suddenly stopped.
Zut alors,
He said.
we have forgotten to add the door of the treehouse.
Bother, said Dotty. Does it matter? Said Lucy. It won't be gone long.
I will go,
Said Claude.
it is how you say, better safe than sorry.
The others watched as Claude ran back towards the treehouse.
Oh no!
Exclaimed Princess.
Look!
3 big boys had appeared. They were walking along the hedgerow towards the treehouse, gathering wood for their bonfire. Claude saw them and threw himself to the ground. There was no time to hide. He froze. He could hear the boys coming nearer. Suddenly, their feet were right next to him.
Hello,
Said one.
what have we here?
Nah, it's just a doll, said another. Some kid must have dropped it. Sling it in the edge.
Nah,
Said the biggest.
I've got an idea.
So saying, he picked up Claude by his legs, tossed him in the air, and caught him again. Horrified, the Raggy Dolls watched as the boys took Claude away with them.
Oh no,
Said Sad Sack. Lucy began to tremble.
What are they going to do with him?
She whimpered.
We must follow them,
Said Dotty.
we've got to help Claude escape.
The boys took Claude to where they had their bonfire. They climbed through a hole in a fence and into the yard of a disused paint factory. The Raggy Dolls peeped through the hole.
That's a dangerous place to have a bonfire.
Whispered Hi-Fi.
Yeah,
Agreed Back to Front.
maybe there's still some old paint and chemicals about. One thing's for sure,
Said Dotty.
those boys are not supposed to be there.
And neither is Claude.
Added Lucy. As she spoke, one of the boys let off a banger.
Shut up,
Said the biggest boy, who was holding Claude. Do you want us to get chucked out of here?
what's she gonna do with that doll then?
Sneered the boy with the bangers.
Play mothers and fathers?
Let's burn him, said the other boy. He can be Guy Fawkes.
Nah,
Said the big boy. I got a better idea. Find a bit of string. Claude was terrified, but he dare not move, even when the boy idly swung him upside down by his legs. It was getting dark, and the Raggy Dolls were getting more and more anxious.
Oh, I don't like those boys.
Said Lucy.
What are they going to do with poor Claude?
Shh, said Dotty.
we must wait and see.
Here's some string.
Called one of the boys.
Good.
Said the big boy. He stopped swinging Claude and just let him dangle.
Now, get the big rocket.
He grinned a wicked grin and winked at the others.
Oh, I get it, said the boy with the bangers. You're going to send him into outer space.
The boys all laughed, and before he knew it, Claude was tied firmly to a big, powerful rocket. The boys had stuck a piece of pipe in the ground for a rocket launcher. They put the stick of the rocket, with Claude tied to it, into the pipe.
We'll leave him till last,
said the big boy.
Come on, let's light the bonfire.
We've got to stop them, hissed Dotty.
But how?
Wailed Lucy.
Call the fire brigade,
suggested Back to Front.
Good thinking,
said Dotty. Hi-Fi spoke into his headphones.
Calling fire brigade. Calling fire brigade. Dangerous bonfire at old paint factory. Over.
Too late, said Sad Sack. The boys had lit the fire, and already sparks were falling on the old paint drums. The boys seemed unaware of the danger. They just laughed and let off bangers. Claude struggled, but he was tied too tightly. Sparks were falling everywhere. Suddenly, a spark landed in the boys' box of fireworks.
Oh no!
cried the big boy.
I told you they should be in a tin,
wailed another. Just then, there was a big bang as a shed caught fire. The sound of the fire engine got nearer and nearer.
Let's get out of here,
yelled the big boy. The Raggy Dolls ducked as the boys rushed towards the hole in the fence. They'd forgotten all about Claude, but the Raggy Dolls hadn't.
Raggy Dolls to the rescue!
Back to Front climbed on Sad Sack's shoulders and cut Claude loose with his penknife. They all ran for their lives. They just got through the hole in the fence when a spark set off the big rocket. Whoosh! High up into the night sky, where it exploded into 3 different colours.
Zut alors,
gasped Claude.
Merci beaucoup, mes amis. That could have been me.
At that moment, the fire brigade arrived.
Lucky we got the warning in time, said the chief. Stupid kids. They ought to ban selling fireworks.
They quickly put out the fires.
I don't know why they don't go to the organised displays. They're safer and so much better.
RD52, come in, please. RD52, come in, please.
Quick, lads, called the chief. Pack up as soon as you can. There's another bonfire out of control on the other side of town.
The Raggy Dolls had had enough of fireworks. Back in the canteen, they sipped mugs of hot vegetable soup.
Those poor firemen, said Lucy, risking their lives because of stupid people.
Yeah, said Back to Front. Maybe people are not so civilised these days after all.
Oui, maybe so, said Claude. But from this day, mes amis, I somehow think I too will always remember the 5th of November.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your 2 left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls,
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy doll,
Raggy doll,
raggy doll,
raggy doll.
made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the raggy doll and say I just don't care. 'Cause raggy doll,
Raggy doll,
raggy doll,
raggy doll.
are happy just to be raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was very early on a bright sunny morning, and the Raggy Dolls were out hiking on the moors. They each carried a knapsack with some orange squash and a packed lunch inside. But this was to be no ordinary hiking day. They had found one of Mr. Grimes's old survey maps, and on it was marked a place that
TV. So keep drawing and look out for your artwork on Pop Art.
Pop art. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show. Next on Pop, it's Rocky and the Dodos.
Good thinking, said Dotty. If the caves are on the map, they must exist. After all, they must have been here for thousands of years. They can't just disappear. The Raggy Dolls spread out, and it wasn't long before Back to Front called out,
Hey, over here. But be careful.
He was standing by a big hole in the ground, half hidden by some boulders. A strong fence was all around it to stop people falling in, but a sign saying, Danger, keep out, lay on its side, probably blown down by the wind.
Don't come too close.
Warned Back to Front.
It's very, very deep.
Then come away from the edge, said Dotty. We don't want any accident. No problem, said Back to Front. He rejoined the others, and after they had fixed the sign back upright, the Raggy Doll sat down and wondered what to do. It's obviously one of those caves that only potholers go into, said Dotty. What a nuisance.
What are potholers?
Said Sad Sack.
People who like to explore underground, explained Hi-Fi.
Yeah, said Back to Front.
Like mountaineers in reverse.
Does that mean we can't go in? Said Lucy, almost hopefully. I'm afraid so, said Dotty. You need special equipment to go down there. It would be too dangerous for us. Just then, a rabbit came hopping by. He was very surprised to see the Raggy Dolls. Gosh, he said. What kind of people are you? We're not people, explained Lucy. We're dolls. Ah, didn't think you were real people, said the rabbit. The only people I've ever seen are huge compared to you. What are you doing up here? We came to look at the caves, said Dotty. But they're too dangerous, added Lucy. We saw them on a map, said Back to Front. But we didn't know we needed ropes. You don't need ropes, said the rabbit. I know another way. It's no good for people, but it's just right for dolls your size.
Great, stammered Hi-Fi. What are we waiting for?
The rabbit led them to another entrance under a big stone. It was just a crack in the rocks, but it turned into a small tunnel. Soon the Raggy Dolls were walking down a steep slope, deeper and deeper underground. It was very damp and quite dark, but they could see daylight ahead of them. It must be coming from the main entrance, said Back to Front. That's right, said the rabbit. You'll soon be underneath it. I'll say goodbye now. There's not much to eat down here. The Raggy Dolls thanked the rabbit for his help and carried on down the tunnel towards the main cave. Soon they were in a big chamber lit by a bright shaft of sunlight. Strange pointed rocks hung from the roof of the cave and dripped water onto other pointed rocks that seemed to grow up out of the floor. Gosh, said Dotty. Stalagmites and stalactites.
I beg your pardon,
said Sad Sack. That's what those pointed rocks are called, said Lucy. But I can never remember which is which. Stalactites hang and stalagmites stick up, said Dotty. I looked it up before we came. They're very impressive, said Princess, especially when you think of how long it took for them to grow.
Rocks don't grow, do they? Said Sad Sack, thinking he was being teased. These ones do, said Back to Front. See those strips? Each one contains tiny bits of stone. Some bits stick to the top one, making it longer, and some bits land on the bottom one, making it taller. It takes ages.
Attention, said Claude, who was standing by a large pool of water. Voila! Something has been here before us. He pointed to some large webbed footprints that seemed to lead straight into the water. The others gathered round, and Lucy's knees began knocking.
Oh, I don't like this. Maybe there's a creature that lives down here, a sort of prehistoric monster perhaps, and this is its cave.
Nah, said Back to Front, not too sure. All the dinosaurs are extinct. They died out years ago.
What about the Loch Ness Monster?
Said Princess. According to some people, that exists.
Let's go,
said Sad Sack, convinced they had discovered a cave nest. Why else would there be a sign saying danger, keep out, and no one selling ice cream? Keep calm, said Dotty. There's got to be a sensible explanation. Just then, bubbles started rising in the deep pool of water. Look, stammered Hi-Fi, pointing at two bright lights under the water.
I knew it,
wailed Lucy.
It's got big wobbly eyes that can see in the dark.
Everybody hide, ordered Dotty. The Raggy Dolls hid behind some stalagmites and watched with horror as the bubbles got bigger and bigger, and a large, shiny black shape emerged from the pool, soon followed by another.
Frogman,
blurted Sad Sack. Shh, whispered Dotty.
No, they're potholers.
The Raggy Dolls watched as the two men removed their masks and breathing tubes and switched off their powerful underwater torches.
There's your monster's eyes,
whispered Back to Front.
I know,
sighed Lucy.
And there go the feet.
The two men were removing their flippers.
Oh, that was great,
said one of the men.
I've never managed to reach the main chamber before. It's as big as a cathedral.
I know, said the other man.
It's a bit tricky getting there, but it's well worth it, don't you think? It was everything you said it would be. Thanks.
The two men shook hands, proud of their achievement. In no time at all, the men had packed up their equipment and climbed up out of the cave. Time for lunch, I think, said Dotty, opening her knapsack.
Surely you're not going to eat it down here,
said Lucy, still a little spooked by the place. I most certainly am, declared Dotty, and no frogman, caveman, bogeyman or dinosaur is going to stop me. Dotty's right, said Princess. We were only scared by what we imagined. Everyone agreed. The cave was a beautiful place and well worth the long walk. The Raggy Dolls sat in silence, eating their sandwiches and sipping orange squash, and thinking of all the time it had taken to make the world.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, you stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy dolls are happy just to be Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
Next, we're off to Grimes Toy Factory to see the Raggy Dolls.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Raggy dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the raggy dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause raggy dolls,
Raggy dolls.
raggy dolls
Raggy dolls.
are happy just to be raggy dolls, raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was a busy morning in the factory yard. A big, long, flat lorry was parked right in the middle, and people rushed here and there with bits of cardboard, pots of paint, big flags, little flags, sticky tape and glue. It was the day of the town carnival. The Raggy Dolls watched from behind the tool shed as the lorry began to look more and more like a fairy tale castle.
It's amazing what a bit of paint and glue can do,
Observed Lucy.
Absolutely,
Agreed Princess.
it's beginning to look fabulous.
Everyone agreed, except Sad Sack.
It's all very well, he said, but no one is going to let us ride on it. We're only rejects.
Zut alors, muttered Claude. Voila, the king of the miserable.
Oh, come on, Sad Sack, said Dotty. This is supposed to be a happy day. You should jolly well cheer up.
After all, said Back to Front, it was your idea. It all began 2 weeks ago with a telephone call to Mr. Grimes from the town mayor.
Hello, Grimes Soft Toys. Grimes speaking.
Mr. Grimes was very honoured to be speaking to the mayor.
Why, hello, Mr. Mayor. This is indeed a pleasant surprise. What can I do for you?
Mr. Grimes listened wide-eyed as the mayor invited him to design a float and take part in the town carnival.
Oh, yes, I can see it would be good publicity. Consider it done, Mr. Mayor. You can rely on all of us here at the factory to put on a gala display. Goodbye.
But when he put the phone down, he couldn't think of what to do. He decided to go and see Florrie, the absent-minded canteen lady. Florrie had just finished washing up the lunch things, and Sad Sack was hiding behind some saucepans on the shelf. He was feeling a little peckish and had his eye on a big piece of treacle tart that no one had wanted. Florrie dried her hands.
Right, that's it then. For another day at least. Time I was off shopping.
Good,
thought Sad Sack. He could almost taste the treacle tart. Just then, Mr. Grimes came in.
Ah, Florrie, can you spare me a minute or two?
Sad Sack's heart sank as he listened to Mr. Grimes explaining all about the carnival.
Hurry up and go,
he thought.
Well, anyway, we've got 2 weeks to think about it, concluded Mr. Grimes. I just thought I'd let everybody know, and then we can all choose the best idea.
Right you are, Mr. Grimes, said Florrie. I'll have a jolly good think then.
At last they were gone, and Sad Sack helped himself to the treacle tart. In no time at all, he was on his way across the big field to the treehouse, where he planned to eat the delicious gooey tart all by himself.
I wonder where the others are,
he suddenly thought. Sad Sack stopped. He knew he ought to share the treacle tart, or at least offer to, but he'd waited so long for it, and it looked so tempting.
I bet they're up in the tree house,
he muttered. He quickly decided that if he didn't look for the others, then he wouldn't be able to find them. It was the perfect excuse. He sat down in the middle of the big field and lifted up the treacle tart. But before he could take a bite, a wasp appeared, and then another. Said the first. Treacle tart. Yummy, said the other. My favourite.
Buzz off,
said Sad Sack crossly. You're not going to eat that all by yourself, are you? Demanded a third wasp.
No,
fibbed Sad Sack, starting to flap.
Go away. I've got to share this with my friends.
The wasps got annoyed and began talking all at once.
Don't flap at us. Sting him. Call the others.
Treacle tart, everybody!
Sad Sack groaned as more and more wasps arrived. He got up and ran as fast as he could.
Quick, after him. Don't let him get away.
The Raggy Dolls were up in the treehouse doing some drawing and colouring. It was all very peaceful, until they heard Sadsack come puffing up the secret stairway.
Help! Save me!
He gasped. "Whatever's the matter?" said Lucy in alarm.
Wasps!
Wailed Sadsack.
They're after my treacle tart.
"Calm down," said Dotty. "There are no wasps, and as far as I can see, no treacle tart."
Oh no, I must have dropped it.
Sadsack was so upset about losing his treacle tart that he didn't mention anything about the carnival until bedtime. "How exciting," said Princess. "Perhaps we should think of some ideas too." Everyone agreed. "I wish you'd told us before," said Lucy. "We could have drawn our plans in the treehouse this afternoon." "No problem," said Back to Front. "We've got 2 weeks. Let's see what the factory people think of, then maybe we'll be able to help."
Good thinking,
said Dotty with a yawn.
I'm sleepy. Good night, everyone.
The Raggy Dolls wished each other good night and were soon fast asleep. A whole week went by, and no one at the factory could think of an idea that everybody liked. Mr. Grimes was getting concerned. The Raggy Dolls listened outside the canteen window as he told Florrie that something had to be decided soon.
I've organised a lorry, but that's all. There's only 1 week to go now. Have you thought of anything yet, Florrie?
To be honest, Mr. Grimes, it slipped my mind. I'm ever so sorry. The Raggy Dolls decided then and there to come up with some ideas of their own. All day long, they drew ideas of how the lorry could be decorated. Hi-Fi drew a spaceship. Claude drew the Eiffel Tower. Dotty drew a South Sea island. But everyone agreed that Sadsack was the best of all. He'd drawn a fairy tale castle, with princess dolls looking out of the windows and teddy bear soldiers guarding the ramparts. Who are they guarding against? Said Lucy.
Wasps,
said Sadsack, quite seriously. Dotty smiled. Come on, it's late. We'd better be getting back. We'll think of a way of showing it to Mr. Grimes in the morning. But that night, the Raggy Dolls had a visitor. It was Mr. Grimes. He was walking around the factory, hoping for inspiration. He looked in the reject bin and saw the Raggy Dolls.
More rejects, he grumbled. I'll throw them out myself.
He gathered up the Raggy Dolls and was just about to leave when he noticed a piece of paper. It was Sadsack's drawing. Mr. Grimes picked it up and dropped the 4 Raggy Dolls back in the bin. He studied the drawing.
This is it, he gasped. I wonder who thought of it. What's a good idea like this doing in the reject bin?
And so it was. The day of the carnival arrived, and the lorry was ready. It looked just like Sadsack's drawing. We may be rejects, stammered Hi-Fi, but we do have good ideas. Quite right, agreed Dotty. Well done, Sadsack. Just think of the pleasure all the children would get from seeing your idea. But Sadsack still looked glum.
I'd rather see it for myself and be part of the parade, he said.
Wouldn't you rather be in a nice empty canteen?
Smiled Lucy.
With no wasps,
chuckled Back to Front.
What do you mean?
Demanded Sadsack. Claude grinned.
We have met you under the treacle tart, mon ami. Are you not hungry?
Sadsack was overjoyed.
Oh, yes, now you mention it, but I do hope you will all share it with me.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your 2 left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy dolls are happy just to be Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
That was a super duper episode.
I'm a cheeky monkey.
I'm a cheeky monkey. I'm a cheeky monkey. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show. We're watching Pop.
I'm a cheeky monkey.
I'm a cheeky monkey. I'm a cheeky monkey. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show.
Next, we're off to Grimes Toy Factory to see the Raggy Dolls.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
One morning, the Raggy Dolls were in the tool shed, watching back to front, finishing off making something. "Whatever is it?" said Princess. "It's a game," explained back to front. The Raggy Dolls watched as he marked each of the holes from left to right with a number. Dotty began to get impatient. "If it's a game, what does it do?" "It doesn't do anything," grinned back to front. "We just stand it up and aim marbles at the holes."
I don't understand,
said Sad Sack. Back to front explained the rules. Each of the Raggy Dolls would take turns to be the bridge keeper. Any marble that missed would belong to the bridge keeper, but if a marble went through a hole marked with a number, the bridge keeper would have to pay the same number of marbles. "You mean if I got a marble through a hole marked 3, I'd get 3 marbles?" asked Lucy. "That's right," said back to front. "What happens if you go through the hole marked with a nothing?" demanded Claude. "You get your marble back," said back to front. "It sounds like fun," said Princess. "Yes," agreed Dotty, "but haven't we all forgotten something?" The Raggy Dolls looked at her. "We haven't got any marbles," she said. "No problem," said back to front. He fished in his pocket and brought out 3 small pebbles. "We can use these," he said. "It's amazing how many round stones there are if you look for them." The Raggy Dolls decided then and there to go on a marble hunt. "Whoever finds the roundest stone can be the first bridge keeper," declared back to front. The Raggy Dolls spread out and searched along the paths and dried up ditches, and soon found that back to front had been absolutely right. It was amazing how many round stones there were when you actually looked for them. Soon, each of the Raggy Dolls had collected enough to play the game. While they weren't as perfectly round as a marble, they were certainly able to roll. Sad Sack tested one of his pebbles. It rolled all over the place.
How can we aim these?
He complained.
They just go wherever they want.
I think it would be all the more fun if they do go whole wiggly, said Princess. The others agreed. Just then they heard a noise. Someone's coming, hissed Dotty. The Raggy Dolls quickly climbed the secret staircase up to the treehouse and looked down. A man was creeping along the hedgerow, looking this way and that. He looked very suspicious. What's he up to? Whispered Princess. I don't know, said Dotty. Let's keep watching. The man suddenly stood still and listened. He appeared to be searching for something. Lucy gasped. He's heard us! He's looking for us! No, he's not, stammered Hi-Fi. Look, he's heading for the dark wood. The man moved silently on his way.
Maybe he's a spy,
suggested Sad Sack. Don't be silly, said Dotty. What could he possibly be spying on out here? Do not speak so soon, pointed Claude. Regardez. The man was looking through binoculars. He seemed to get quite excited. He suddenly took out a notebook and began scribbling in it.
He is a spy, declared Sad Sack.
Then let's follow him, said Dotty.
Oh dear, do we have to?
Moaned Lucy. Yes, said Dotty firmly. If he is up to no good, we shall have to notify the proper authorities. Taking care they could not be seen, the Raggy Dolls made their way to the spot where the strange man had entered the dark wood. There was no sign of him.
What do we do now?
Said Lucy, hoping somebody would suggest giving up and going home. Spread out and keep your eyes open, said Dotty. We'll need a password, she added. What about marbles? Back to Front laughed. Yeah, no problem. Marbles, I like it. Good, said Dotty. Now spread out, everyone, and for goodness sake, be careful.
I don't understand why we need a password, said Sad Sack.
Dotty sighed. It's just a precaution, Sad Sack. If we hear a noise and we can't see who it is, we just whisper the password. If we hear the password whispered back, we know it's one of us, and it's safe. Sad Sack scratched his head.
Suppose it's the spy who whispers marbles back to us. It wouldn't be safe then.
Good thinking, said Dotty. Spies are very tricky, and they know a thing or two. We need a second password. Sad Sack groaned as Dotty continued. If one of us whispers marbles, we must answer with the word bridge keeper. Understood? The others nodded and spread out into the dark wood. Lucy decided she would spread out next to Princess, and to show she didn't mind, Princess held her hand. Sad Sack had decided enough was enough and had spread out back towards the factory. He was just thinking how a snack of something would soon perk him up when Pumpernickel the Scarecrow called out to him.
Hello, doll. What are you up to? What's your hurry?
Relieved to see a friendly face, Sad Sack stopped and quickly explained there was a spy in the woods.
A spy?
Said Pumpernickel in surprise.
What does he look like?
Sad Sack described the man.
He's got binoculars and a notebook and everything,
he added. Pumpernickel grinned and then laughed.
Ha! He's not a spy. He's staying the week with Farmer Brown. You know, bed and breakfast.
Then why is he creeping about?
Demanded Sad Sack.
Ah, said the Scarecrow. Because he's a twitcher, that's why.
What's that?
Asked Sad Sack, tired of learning new words.
A twitcher is a bird watcher, explained Pumpernickel. That's why he's creeping about. You don't see many birds if you go crashing about making a noise.
I think I'd better go and tell the others,
said Sad Sack.
They still think he's a spy.
Meanwhile, deep in the dark wood, the Raggy Dolls had joined forces again and were worrying about Sad Sack.
Oh dear,
said Lucy.
Do you think the spy has got him?
Keep calm, everyone, said Dotty. I think I can hear him coming. Sure enough, the Raggy Dolls could hear someone approaching.
Marbles,
whispered Dotty. The footsteps stopped.
Twitcher,
puffed a voice.
It's the spy,
gasped Lucy.
It sounded a bit like Sad Sack to me,
said Princess.
Marbles,
whispered Dotty again, only louder this time.
Oh, bird watcher,
came the reply. Back to Front chuckled. It is Sad Sack. He's forgotten the password. Nevertheless, the Raggy Dolls were very pleased to see him safe and sound again. After he had explained about the bird watcher, everyone agreed they'd all been a bit silly. It just proves you can't judge by appearances, said Dotty. You can when it comes to round stones, though, said Back to Front. Oh, yes, said Princess. Let's see who's got the roundest one. It was Sad Sack.
That makes me the first bridge keeper,
said Sad Sack. At last, said Dotty. You've remembered the password. The Raggy Dolls all laughed and got on with their new game.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made him perfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all fuzz, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls
Raggy Dolls,
are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
I'm a cheeky monkey.
I'm a cheeky monkey. I'm a cheeky monkey. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show! It's time for more fun with Lucy, Claude, Dotty, Back to Front, Sad Sack and Hi-Fi. It's the Raggy Dolls! It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls,
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
The Raggy Dolls had spent the morning making a picnic, and now they were calling on old Edward, Mr. Grimes's boyhood teddy bear. As they climbed through the cat flap in the cottage back door, they could hear strange noises coming from the living room. "Oh dear," sighed Princess. "I'm afraid he's watching television again." Princess was right. The old teddy bear was sitting in Mr. Grimes's armchair, and the television was full on.
I know. Keep your slippers on. I'm telling the man, shut up, or I'll put a bag over your head. Right. They're huge. They're mega. They're rad, fab, and ginormous. What? I warned you. And here, once again, it's time for... Yes, they're here. The fabulous Karate Frogs from Mars.
Dotty turned off the television in disgust. "What complete and utter rubbish!" "I say," complained Edward, "I was looking forward to that." "You should know better at your age," continued Dotty. "Too much television is bad for your eyes." Dotty's right, added Hi-Fi, "especially if you sit too close." "My eyes are all right," protested the old teddy bear. "There was no need to switch the set off." "It's a beautiful day outside," said Lucy, changing the subject, "and we've made you a lovely picnic." "Eh? A picnic, you say? Oh, good," said the old teddy bear. "I love picnics."
This is the life,
said Sad Sack, licking his lips and feeling full. Old Edward agreed. "I have to admit, it's much nicer than watching television." "Then why do you watch it so much?" demanded Lucy. The old bear sighed. "I don't know. Perhaps it's because television wasn't around much when I was young." "Now there's a thought," chuckled Back to Front. "What did children do before there was television?" "I can tell you that," said the teddy. The old bear smiled and told them how young Ozzy Grimes used to fish for wooden clothes pegs in an old tin bath, how he used to make his own jigsaw puzzles, and how he got into trouble for cutting up a picture of the coronation he found in his mum's magazine. In fact, the old bear chuckled, most of Ozzy's games got him into trouble. There was the unfortunate incident of the catapult and the vicar's window.
Gosh, said Princess, these old-fashioned games sound a bit dangerous. Indeed they do, said Dotty. No wonder most parents nowadays prefer to let their children watch television. Just a minute, said Back to Front. What was that you were saying about fishing for pegs? That can't be dangerous. Maybe we could try it. It sounds fun.
Where are we going to find wooden pegs?
Demanded Sad Sack.
No problem, said Back to Front. I'll make some little wooden fish. Magnets, stammered Hi-Fi. We could use magnets.
The Raggy Dolls were puzzled.
Magnets don't float, said Sad Sack. Even I know that.
No, explained Hi-Fi. If we use magnets, then we won't need water. Follow me.
Meanwhile, up in the office, Mr. Grimes was not a happy man. He put down the telephone and looked glum.
This is not my day, he thought.
He sighed and picked up the telephone again.
Hello? Oh, Florrie. Can you do me a favour? My sister Ethel's got to go to the dentist and she's bringing my nephews. That's right, Oz and Boz. Can you keep an eye on the lads this afternoon?
Oh, yes. Don't you worry, Mr. Grimes, said the absent-minded canteen lady. They're such nice boys.
Thanks, Florrie. I really appreciate this.
It'll be a pleasure, Mr. Grimes. No trouble at all.
Mr. Grimes put the phone down and chuckled to himself.
Thank goodness for Florrie's poor memory, he thought. Everyone else calls Oz and Boz the terrible twins.
Needless to say, Oz and Boz were huge fans of karate frogs from Mars. They had pestered their poor mother to buy them the suits. As soon as they arrived, they burst from the car, leaping about and shouting, "Wah saw! Ribbit! And Yow Fong!" Mr. Grimes looked out of his window, covered his eyes, and groaned. He heard his sister Ethel shouting, "Oz, Boz, behave yourselves!" He looked out of his window again and was relieved to see Florrie taking charge of his unruly nephews.
It's very good of you, Florrie, said Ethel. Think nothing of it, said Florrie. They look so alike, don't they? Which one is which? Oh, don't ask me, sighed their mother. Since this karate frog thing, they call themselves Brahms and Ravel, and they can't even agree on who's who. Boys will be boys, laughed Florrie,
as Oz and Boz leapt around in their frog suits. Back in the tool shed, the Raggy Dolls were far too busy to notice the arrival of Oz and Boz. Hi-Fi was attaching a magnet to the end of a piece of string. The string was dangling from a long stick, proudly held by Sad Sack, who was feeling very important.
You can test it now, said Hi-Fi.
Sad Sack carefully swung the rod over to a bucket and lowered the magnet into it.
I think I've got something.
Sad Sack slowly raised the rod, and there, hanging from the magnet by their tin noses, were 4 wooden fish.
I've got 4,
yelled Sad Sack. But he got so excited, the rod twitched, and his catch dropped back into the bucket.
It's no use, he moaned. I'm no good at anything.
Don't say that, said Lucy. At least we know it works. You've proved that. Quite right, said Dotty. Well done, Hi-Fi, and well done, Back to Front. Those fish are brilliant. Now, let's all take turns.
All of a sudden, there was a crash, as a stone came through the window.
Take cover,
ordered Dotty. Oz and Boz, who had run out of karate frog ideas, had decided to play baseball with a stick and some stones.
That was your fault, said Boz. No, it wasn't, said Oz. You hit it. Never mind that. Let's see what's in the shed.
Oh, no,
moaned Sad Sack. Shh, hissed Dotty. The very next moment, the door crashed open, and in stepped Boz. His silly frog foot tripped on the rod and broke it. Then Oz rushed in, fell over Boz, and knocked aside the box that the Raggy Dolls were hiding behind.
Oh, look,
said Boz. old-fashioned dolls." He picked up back to front. "This one's got his head on the wrong way round," he laughed. "They must be rejects," said Oz. "Let's karate them." "Yeah," said Boz. "Yow, fong." "Ribbit, ribbit," said Oz. Just in time, Florrie Fosdyke put her head around the door. "Oi, Puccini, Mozart, whatever your names are, you shouldn't be in here. Mr. Grimes won't like it. Come along with me. I've made you some tea." "We only eat cheeseburgers," said Oz. "And milkshakes," said Boz. "You'll have beans on toast and like it," said Florrie firmly. To their great relief, the Raggy Dolls watched as Florrie led the boys off towards the canteen. "They called us old-fashioned dolls," said Princess indignantly. "I suppose we are in a way," said Lucy. "We are what we are," said Dotty. "But if Oz and Boz are examples of what modern children are supposed to be like, then I'm quite happy to be old-fashioned."
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our raggy doll chums. 'Cause raggy dolls are happy just to be raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
That was one of my favourites. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show. Pop will be back after the break. We're watching Pop. It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls. Dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
One sunny Monday morning, the Raggy Dolls sat chatting with old Edward, Mr. Grimes' long-lost teddy bear. "We've been meaning to come and see you for weeks," said Dotty. "How are you settling in?" "I'm very comfortable, thank you," said the bear, glad to have such good friends to visit him. "What's it like being looked after by a grown-up?" chuckled Lucy. The old bear laughed. "At my age, it's quite a welcome change, I can tell you. I don't get bumped up the stairs at bedtime. I've got my own armchair in the living room, and quite often the cat comes and sleeps on me." Sadsack looked surprised. "Cat? I didn't know Mr. Grimes had a cat." "Well, he does now," said the bear. "There's a cat flap and everything. It's very useful when I want to take a stroll in the garden." "What does this cat look like?" asked Dotty, suspicious of cats. "He's all stripy and ginger," said the teddy. "Ozzy calls him Mr. Marmalade." Claude was worried. "This Monsieur Marmalade, he is friendly, n'est-ce pas?" "Oh, you know how cats are," shrugged the bear. "He doesn't say much, just comes and goes as he pleases." Lucy suddenly noticed the birds had stopped singing. She looked up and gave a shriek. A big stripy cat was on a branch right above her head. There was a flash of ginger fur as Mr. Marmalade pounced and landed among the Raggy Dolls.
Run for cover!
Yelled Dotty. But Lucy couldn't run. She had completely gone to pieces with the shock. Even her head had come off. Mr. Marmalade was quite curious. He began batting Lucy's head around with his paw. Horrified, the Raggy Dolls watched from the flower beds as Lucy's head was rolled all around the lawn by the playful cat. The old teddy bear gathered his wits and struggled to his feet. Stop, he called. You might hurt her. To everyone's relief, the cat stopped and began licking a paw as though nothing had happened. As the old bear puffed his way across the lawn, the cat looked up and purred. Hello, bear. It's all right. You're quite safe now. What are you talking about? These dolls are my friends. Oh, said the cat, more curious than surprised. In that case, perhaps you'd care to introduce me. The old bear sighed and called to the raggy dolls. You can come out now. There's nothing to fear. One by one, the raggy dolls cautiously stepped out of the flower beds. They quickly gathered Lucy up and put her back together again. She was shaken, but unhurt. Dotty was so furious she couldn't speak. The old bear wisely tried to calm things down. Mr. Marmalade, these are the Raggy Dolls. Raggy Dolls, this is Mr. Marmalade. Charmed, simply charmed, purred the ginger cat. Tell me, can all of you fall to bits? How do you do it? It really is a clever trick. Lucy bravely spoke up for herself. I'm the only one that goes to pieces, Mr. Marmalade, and it's not a trick. I was made that way by mistake, with loose stitching. That's why she's called Lucy, stammered Hi-Fi. Back to Front patted himself on the back of the head. I'm called Back to Front, he said. Mr. Marmalade looked him up and down. Ah, yes, he said. I'm beginning to understand. Furthermore, interrupted Dotty, it may please you to know that I am called Dotty because I was accidentally splashed with paint. And yes, it so happens that there is something slightly wrong with all of us. We are all so-called rejects, but none of us would be so thoughtless as to go around jumping on people out of trees. You're quite right, my dear, yawned Mr. Marmalade. It was thoughtless of me. He licked his paw again. Aren't you going to say sorry? Said Princess indignantly. No, said Mr. Marmalade. Cats never apologize. It's not in their nature. But I will say this. All of us are made the way we are, for better or worse. I'm always jumping out of things. That's the way I am. I don't give it a second thought. Mr. Marmalade rolled on his back in the sunshine and flicked his tail. The old bear explained that Mr. Marmalade had been a stray cat, but Mr. Grimes had given him a good home in return for scaring mice out of the factory. Maybe that's why he's a bit wild, whispered Princess, because he eats mice. Mr. Marmalade had very sharp ears. He sat up. My dear, have you ever eaten raw mouse? It's positively disgusting. No, don't be absurd. I eat only the finest gourmet tinned cat foods. Talking of which reminds me, I am rather peckish. The big ginger cat crossed the lawn and disappeared through the cat flap. Meanwhile, up in the factory office, one of the men was showing Mr. Grimes a piece of wire. See that? He said. It's chewed right through. It could have started a fire. Dear me, said Mr. Grimes. Where's it from? The extractor fan in the stuffing room, explained the man. It must be mice again, grumbled Mr. Grimes. That cat's not doing his job. No mouse did this, said the man grimly. Look at the size of the tooth marks. Mr. Grimes looked. He said. Make sure all the doors and windows are shut tight when we close. Mice are a nuisance, but rats are dangerous. When the factory hooter blew, the Raggy Dolls said goodbye to old Edward and thanked him for a lovely day. It was an unpleasant surprise to find themselves locked out. They had walked all around the factory, but it was no use. It was getting very dark, and they couldn't get in. Oh, what are we going to do? Wailed Lucy. Just then, Back to Front found a hole in the wall. No problem, he said. We can crawl through here. Crawling on all fours, the Raggy Dolls could hardly see where they were going. They soon emerged from under piles of stuffing. Don't look now, warned Sad Sack, but someone is watching us. From the dark shadows in the corner, 2 yellow eyes blinked at them.
Well, of all the nerve! exclaimed Dotty. It's that Mr. Marmalade up to his silly tricks again.
Hi-Fi shone his torch, but it wasn't Mr. Marmalade. It was a big, fat rat.
Sacre bleu!
gasped Claude.
He is going to attack!
But before the rat could do anything, there was a loud hiss and a flash of ginger fur. It was Mr. Marmalade. He bristled and growled and flashed his claws. The rat was no match for him. He quickly scurried away through the hole in the wall. He won't be back, said Mr. Marmalade, casually licking his paw. Lucy hugged him.
Oh, Mr. Marmalade, she said. Thank goodness you're always jumping out at things.
Come, come, my dear, said the big ginger cat. As I said before, we are all made the way we are, for better or worse.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, made him perfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your 2 left feet and join our raggy doll chums. 'Cause raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls are happy just to be raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the raggy dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls, raggy dolls are happy just to be raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was a bright summer Friday. Florrie Fosdyke, the absent-minded canteen lady, was singing happily to herself while the kettle boiled for Mr. Grimes's morning cup of coffee.
My word, Florrie, he teased. You should be on the stage.
Oh, Mr. Grimes, you gave me quite a turn.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but I am curious to know what you're so happy about. Have you won the pools?
Oh, good gracious no, hooted Florrie. It's nothing like that. Just some friends of mine. They've got a caravan, and well, they've invited me for the weekend.
Dotty and Sadsack listened as Florrie explained all about the caravan. It was by the sea somewhere, and although she couldn't remember exactly where, she was looking forward to it very much. Mr. Grimes said that he was going away too.
Plenty of fresh air and exercise, he said. A 2-day hike. I'll be camping overnight.
Gosh, hissed Dotty. Come on, let's tell the others. Up in the treehouse, the Raggy Dolls made plans. They would hide in Mr. Grimes's car, take lots of food and drink, a map and a compass, Hi-Fi's telescope. Everyone was very excited, except Sadsack. He kept thinking of a nice, cosy caravan by the seaside.
Couldn't we go with Florrie instead?
He suggested. Oh no, declared Princess. Hiking and camping is much more fun.
But we haven't got a tent.
No problem, said Back to Front. We can make ourselves invisible and share old Grimesy's tent.
But Mr. Grimes walks much faster than we can,
reminded Lucy.
What if we can't keep up with him? What then?
Maybe we could find a cave or something, stammered Hi-Fi.
Ugh,
shuddered Princess.
I'd rather not. Couldn't we make some sort of tent ourselves?
Good thinking, said Dotty. We'll need sleeping bags too. Sad Sack groaned, but it was decided. Lucy and Princess would go to the storeroom to make sleeping bags, while the others would set about making a tent in the tool shed. Meanwhile, up in the office, Mr. Grimes was on the telephone to his sister Ethel. He too had a plan.
It's very kind of you, Ethel. That's right, it'll take me 2 days, so if you could drop me off on Saturday morning and pick me up on the other side Sunday afternoon... Right, agreed. Thanks again, Ethel. See you tomorrow morning.
Mr. Grimes sighed with pleasure. At last, he was going to conquer Rambler's Ridge. This was it, a real hike, no turning back. He began to sing.
Give me the great outdoors, that's the only place for me. Among the rolling hills and moors.
By the time the factory hooter blew at the end of the day, the Raggy Dolls had finished their tent. It looked rather like a wigwam. Lucy and Princess arrived with the homemade sleeping bags. "It's very impressive," said Princess. "Is it waterproof?" "Yeah, of course it is," said Back to Front. "And it comes to bits, so we can all carry a piece each."
Let's hope it doesn't come to bits while we're in it,
giggled Lucy. "Have no fear," said Claude, admiring the sleeping bags. "We shall be, how you say, snug as the bug into rugs." "Ugh," said Princess.
I'm hungry,
said Sad Sack. "Good thinking," laughed Dotty. The next morning, when Mr. Grimes wasn't looking, the Raggy Dolls hid themselves with all their things in the boot of the car. There was plenty of room, as Mr. Grimes was mainly using the roof rack. Dotty went over the plan.
"Now, as soon as the coast is clear, we'll climb out, find a signpost, and work out where the car is parked. Then we'll mark it on the map so we can find it again. That way, Mr. Grimes can go wherever he wants to, and so can we."
Let's hope it isn't very far,
thought Sad Sack. And soon the car moved off.
"What's Ethel doing here?" said Lucy. "I don't know," said Dotty. "Maybe she's going hiking too."
It wasn't long before the Raggy Dolls realised their mistake. When they heard Ethel saying goodbye to Mr. Grimes, they had to change their plans, fast. Back to Front quickly opened the boot from inside, and in no time at all, the Raggy Dolls were sitting on their equipment in the middle of nowhere, watching Ethel driving away. There was no sign of Mr. Grimes.
"What are we going to do now?"
wailed Lucy. "Carry on regardless," said Dotty. "I quite like the outdoor life." "Yeah," said Back to Front. "We've got plenty of food, a tent, sleeping bags, a map and a compass. What more could we want?" Sad Sack could think of lots of things, but he said nothing, except a sort of, Lucy was still upset.
"What good is a map if we don't know where we are?"
she protested. "Look," pointed Hi-Fi. "There's a signpost." It pointed to Rambler's Ridge.
"Let's find Rambler's Ridge on the map," said Dotty.
The Raggy Dolls soon found it. It was very long and ran from east to west.
"Which end of it are we?"
said Lucy.
"East or west?"
"No problem," said Back to Front, studying the compass. "North is behind us, so this must be where we are." He pointed to the west side.
"Oh, well done,"
said Princess. The Raggy Dolls set off, hoping to catch up with Mr. Grimes, but there was no sign of him. On and on the Raggy Dolls trekked, until they all became quite exhausted. They decided to rest for a while. Hi-Fi took his telescope and scanned the horizon. "Look," he said. "There's Mr. Grimes."
"Let me see,"
said Dotty. She took the telescope and gasped. She could see someone else.
"Never mind Mr. Grimes. I can see a rock climber, and he's in trouble."
Sure enough, the Raggy Dolls could see a man hanging from a cliff by a rope. He appeared to be unconscious. "Raggy Dolls to the rescue," stammered Hi-Fi, and he called into his headphones for the mountain rescue team.
"Calling mountain rescue! Calling mountain rescue!"
There was nothing more the Raggy Dolls could do but wait. At last, the rescue team arrived, and they watched through the telescope as the man was hauled to safety and given first aid. "He's all right now," said Back to Front. "He's standing up."
"I'm glad he's safe," said Lucy. "But what about us?
We'll never find Mr. Grimes now. It was beginning to get dark. There's only one thing for it, said Dotty. We'll make camp and look for him in the morning. I'm sure we'll feel better after a good night's sleep. Everyone agreed, except Sadsack. He was feeling very gloomy about spending the night on Rambler's Ridge. It wasn't until the tent was set up that he began to feel more cheerful. It looked so cosy and inviting. The Raggy Dolls sat down to a supper of sausages and beans under a night sky of billions of twinkling stars. "Oh, look!" exclaimed Lucy. "There's a shooting star!" "And there's another!" said Princess. The Raggy Dolls counted 7 in all.
That's one each,
yawned Back to Front. "Time for bed, I think," said Dotty. Safely tucked up in their sleeping bags inside their cosy tent, the Raggy Dolls wished each other good night.
Oh well, thought Sadsack. Maybe the outdoor life is not so bad after all.
And by the time the next shooting star whizzed overhead, they were all fast asleep.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all funds, stand on your 2 left feet and join our raggy doll chums. 'Cause raggy dolls are happy just to be. Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls. Dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls are happy just to be. Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
The Raggy Dolls were up in their treehouse reading some old magazines that Mr. Grimes had thrown out. There was something to interest each of them. Claude was reading a travel magazine. It was full of pictures of France. Dotty had a magazine about pottery, and Lucy had one on gardening. There was Do-It-Yourself for Back to Front, Cookery for Sadsack, and Modern Music for Hi-Fi. Only Princess wasn't enjoying her magazine. It was all about the royal family. She sighed a really big sigh.
"Oh dear." "What's the matter?" said Lucy, looking up from an article on runner beans. "It's nothing," sighed Princess again. "It can't be nothing," said Dotty. "You must tell us, otherwise how can we help you?" "Here," said Back to Front, forgetting about his useful tips on getting shelves level. "Come on, we're your friends." By now, all the Raggy Dolls had stopped reading. Princess looked at each of her friends in turn. "You promise you won't think I'm silly?" she said at last. The others nodded. "Well, it's just that I shall never know what it's like to be a real princess. I'm only a doll." She began to sob. Sadsack put his arm around her, but couldn't think of anything to say. Even Dotty was lost for words. None of us can help being who we are," stammered Hi-Fi. "Mais oui," said Claude. "Not even with people can anyone be a king or a queen." "I suppose you're right. I am being silly." Back to Front looked thoughtful. "How do people choose a king or queen?" "I'm not sure," said Dotty. "All I know is, in England, you have to belong to the royal family to be king or queen." "Well, who was the first king and queen of England then?" wondered Lucy. "Royal families must have started somehow."
nobody knew.
I believe William the Conqueror was quite important, said Dotty.
What did he do?
Demanded Sad Sack.
He conquered England in 1066 and all that,
said Dotty. Sad Sack was puzzled.
What do you mean? Was he good at conquers?
Everyone laughed, even Princess.
Not that sort of conquer,
she smiled.
He fought a big battle with his army of invasion and won. That's how he became King of England.
Oh, said Sad Sack, not much the wiser.
Sad Sack's given me an idea, said Dotty. Let's all go and play conkers. We should save these magazines for a rainy day. Oh, yes, said Lucy. We can have a knockout competition.
Everyone agreed. They even decided on a prize for the winner. The one with the best conker would be proclaimed king or queen for the rest of the day, and all the others would have to carry out their orders like good, loyal subjects. In no time at all, they were on their way to the dark wood to search for conkers. They soon found a big horse-chestnut tree with lots of fallen conkers around its roots.
We're bound to find some good ones here.
No problem, said Back to Front.
I quite agree,
said Princess, picking up a lovely big round shiny one.
Some people have all the luck,
grumbled Sad Sack. The Raggy Dolls spread out and called out to each other excitedly whenever they found a bigger and better one. At last, each of them had chosen their best conker, and each of them hoped that theirs would win. Sad Sack wondered what it would be like to be king for a day, even if it was only pretending. He saw himself sitting on a magnificent throne in a great hall, with splendid royal trumpeters sounding fanfares. But somehow, he couldn't imagine the others waiting on him hand and foot and calling him Your Majesty.
Hurry up, Sad Sack,
called Dotty.
You're lagging behind again.
I'm coming,
muttered Sad Sack. He hurried forward, but tripped on a bramble and dropped his conker. It rolled away under the prickles, out of sight.
Oh no,
he moaned. By now the others were far ahead, eager for the competition to start. Sad Sack looked around for a stick to prod with.
What seems to be the trouble?
Asked a friendly squirrel.
I've lost my conker,
said Sad Sack.
Don't worry,
said the squirrel.
I know where there's lots of really big hard ones. Wait here.
So saying, the squirrel scampered off into the brambles. In next to no time, he was back, carrying the biggest and the best conker Sad Sack had ever seen.
Oh, I say, I don't know how to thank you.
Don't mention it,
said the squirrel.
Good luck.
By the time Sad Sack caught up with the others, they already had their conkers on strings.
Here I am,
he puffed.
Don't start without me.
As if we would,
protested Princess.
Just a minute,
said Back to Front.
We have to compete in pairs. As there are 7 of us, we 6 might as well begin while Sad Sack gets his conker ready. Good thinking,
said Dotty. And so it was agreed. The contest began. Back to Front played Dotty, Lucy played Claude, and Hi-Fi played Princess. There were 3 winners, Dotty, Claude, and Princess.
Oh well, said Back to Front. I might as well start making a throne for the final winner.
Hi-Fi offered to help.
I'll make a crown,
said Lucy.
We can't have a king or a queen for the day without a crown.
Ready,
said Sad Sack, dangling his conker on a string. It was by far the biggest, the roundest, and the shiniest.
Sacre bleu,
exclaimed Claude.
We do not stand a chance, n'est-ce pas? Size isn't everything, declared Dotty. Come on, let battle commence.
The remaining 4 paired off, and Princess beat Claude, and of course Sad Sack beat Dotty.
Well done,
said Dotty sportingly. Now it was time for the final. Princess and Sad Sack faced each other.
On guard,
said Princess bravely. She knew her conker already had a small crack in it.
May the best conker win,
said Sad Sack. It was all over in one hit. Princess swung her conker down hard, and it broke into pieces. Sad Sack had won.
All hail King Sad Sack, declared Dotty. "Whatever he commands, we must obey." Sad Sack was led to his magnificent cardboard throne and crowned with a silver paper crown.
Can I really do anything I like?
Said Sad Sack, who couldn't believe his luck. "Of course, Your Majesty," said Dotty, bowing low.
In that case, I appoint Princess to be my queen for the day."
Everyone cheered, and of course Princess was both surprised and delighted. "Oh, Sad Sack, Your Majesty." She had tried very hard to hide her disappointment at not winning, but now, thanks to Sad Sack, she could share the prize and be treated like royalty. King Sad Sack ordered another throne to be made, and then some tea and sticky buns. Princess had a command too. "And please bring a big soft cushion for William."
"Who's William?"
said Sad Sack. Princess giggled. "Your conqueror, of course." The Raggy Dolls cheered again. "All hail King Sad Sack the Wise!" cried Dotty. "Hurrah for Princess, his noble queen, and 3 cheers for William the Conqueror! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, then stand on your 2 left feet and join our raggy doll chums. 'Cause raggy dolls are happy just to be raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
Meet Camping Boy Matt
La 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 la.
and his family and friends,
La 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 la.
and share their lives in a little village in the jungles of Malaysia. Camping Boy, every day on Pop.
Pop, the best for tunes and tunes. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show! It's time for more fun with Lucy, Claude, Dotty, Back to Front, Sad Sack and Hi-Fi. It's the Raggy Dolls!
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
This is John Clutterbuck in famine-ridden Mingala handing you back to the studio.
Mr. Grimes was very thoughtful.
Those poor people, he thought. It's tragic. There must be something I could do to raise money.
He thought hard, but he was too tired to have any good ideas. He yawned.
I'll sleep on it, that's what I'll do, he told himself.
He made sure old Edward, his boyhood teddy bear, and Rupert the Roo were comfortable, and went up to bed. Rupert and Edward had seen the programme too.
The world is always full of troubles, sighed old Edward.
Yeah, maybe so, said Rupert. But old Grimes is right. Something's got to be done.
He leapt up and started bouncing up and down the sitting room. Old Edward watched him wearily.
I don't know where you get your energy from, he said. I think better when I bounce, said the kangaroo. Ah, got it. I'll go and see the Raggy Dolls.
What? Said the old teddy. At this time of night? But Rupert was already out of the cat flap and gone. The Raggy Dolls were fast asleep when Rupert reached the reject bin. He bounced up and looked in.
Psst! Wake up!
No one stirred. He bounced up again.
Psst! Wake up!
He whispered loudly. The Raggy Dolls were still fast asleep.
Struth, muttered Rupert. They're miles away, in the land of Nod.
He bounced up even higher and called,
Oi! Come on, you lot! Show a leg!
That did it. The Raggy Dolls woke up in total confusion.
Rupert,
said Dotty crossly when everyone had calmed down.
Don't you realise it's the middle of the night?
Yeah, sorry about that, but listen.
The kangaroo explained all about the people in need he'd seen on television and how desperate they were through no fault of their own.
You're absolutely right, said Princess. But how can we help? We'll just have to put on our thinking caps, said Dotty. Let's go down to the canteen and make a pot of tea,
suggested Lucy. Everyone agreed. Over cups of tea, the Raggy Dolls had several ideas for raising money.
Maybe Mr. Grimes could make a collection in the factory, suggested Hi-Fi. Oh, yes, said Lucy. I'm sure everyone would give very generously. Said Dotty. That would raise a certain amount, but we need as many people as possible to give as much as they can. No problem, said Back to Front. All Mr. Grimes needs to do is open the factory to the public, show them how the toys are made, and charge them an entrance fee. All in a good cause. Brilliant, said Dotty. An open day in aid of people in need. It's bound to be a great success.
Everyone was very excited about the idea, except Sad Sack.
There's just one problem, he said. Mr. Grimes hasn't thought of the idea yet.
Sad Sack's right,
said Lucy, suddenly disappointed.
How are we going to get Mr. Grimes to do it?
I've got it,
said the kangaroo in midair. He landed on the table.
We'll just have to make him think he thought of the open day all by himself,
he grinned.
How are we going to do that?
Demanded Sad Sack. Rupert winked.
Follow me, he said.
Mr. Grimes was sound asleep and snoring gently when the Raggy Dolls and Rupert crept silently into his bedroom.
Are you sure this is going to work?
Whispered Princess.
Yeah, no worries,
whispered Rupert. He neatly hopped up onto the bed and, taking care not to disturb Mr. Grimes, edged his way to the pillow. When he was right next to Mr. Grimes's ear, he spoke softly, in a low voice.
Mr. Grimes, can you hear me?
Mr. Grimes grunted, but did not wake up. The Raggy Dolls held their breath. Rupert continued.
Mr. Grimes, you want to help the people in need, don't you?
Yes, mumbled the sleepy Mr. Grimes.
Then listen carefully.
The next morning, Mr. Grimes was a bundle of energy. He put the phone down just as Florrie Fosdyke came in with his morning cup of coffee.
Ah, Florrie, good morning. I've just spoken to the local paper and they've agreed to do a big article and a full-page advertisement. Completely free.
Sorry, Mr. Grimes, said Florrie, but I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Grimes chuckled.
The open day, Florrie. This Saturday. I've decided to open the factory to the public in aid of people in need. Hopefully we shall raise a lot of money. What do you think?
Florrie had also seen the programme.
I think it's terrific, Mr. Grimes. What a wonderful idea. I don't know how you think them up.
Neither do I, Florrie, said Mr. Grimes.
Neither do I. The Raggy Dolls were delighted when they heard that their plan had worked. They sat up in the treehouse, out of the way of all the preparations. Back to Front was impressed. I must say, old Grimesy really knows how to get things done. I've never seen a factory so busy. When Saturday came, so did lots of people. The first thing they saw was Bert, the factory foreman, dressed as a teddy bear. He collected the entrance money and posed for photographs. Inside the factory, safety ropes were put up to stop people getting too near the machines, but they could see how the toys were made quite clearly. Mr. Grimes proudly explained that only the finest materials were used, and that if any toy did not come up to the right standard, it was put in the reject bin. One child asked to see the reject bin, but of course it was empty. The Raggy Dolls were hiding with Rupert in the canteen, where Florrie was busy selling teas and cakes and orange squash. The sight of all the visitors eating made Sad Sack feel quite hungry.
I hope they leave some for us,
he whispered.
So do I, said Lucy. But Florrie's got to make as much money as she can.
I suppose everyone should go hungry once in a while, he thought, just to know what it's like.
When the last visitors had gone, Mr. Grimes thanked everybody for giving up their day off and working so hard for people in need.
Bert and I have counted the money, he said, and I'm sure you'll all agree that it's all been very worthwhile when I tell you how much we've raised.
The Raggy Dolls listened impatiently.
It's quite a tidy sum, I can tell you.
Then why doesn't he? Muttered Rupert. Struth, what a windbag.
We have raised the amazing sum of just over £1,000. Well done, everybody,
concluded Mr. Grimes. The Raggy Dolls and Rupert looked at one another and smiled. There was nothing more to be said.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy dolls are happy just to be Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
Wasn't that an exciting episode?
We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show!
See you after the break. I'm a cheeky monkey.
I'm a cheeky monkey. I'm a cheeky monkey. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show! It's time for more fun with Lucy, Claude, Dotty, Back to Front, Sad Sack and Hi-Fi. It's the Raggy Dolls!
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls. Raggy Dolls. Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls. Raggy Dolls. Made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was a fine Saturday morning, and the Raggy Dolls were having breakfast in the factory canteen. All except Hi-Fi and Back to Front. They were in the tool shed, making a skateboard.
Someone ought to go and tell them breakfast is ready,
said Dotty.
I'll go,
said Lucy.
I'd like to see how they're getting on.
Hi-Fi and Back to Front were having problems. It had been easy enough to cut out the board to stand on, but finding the right sort of wheels and the right size was proving to be difficult. They had tried corks with bent nails through them, but they were too soft. They'd tried cotton reels, but they were too hard. They were wondering what to do next when Lucy arrived.
Breakfast is ready, she said. How are you getting on?
No, not too good, stammered Hi-Fi.
We're having problems with the wheels,
said Back to Front glumly.
Never mind, said Lucy. Come and have some breakfast, and we'll all think about it.
On their way to the canteen, they met Rupert the Roo, who was full of his usual bounce. "G'day, Sports. What you doing? Is there anything I can do? I'm just itching to get stuck into something."
Well, we're just about to have breakfast, said Lucy. You can join us if you like.
"Ah, no thanks, I'm stuffed. I just had breakfast with old Edward. Boy, can that bear eat." "You don't happen to know where we can find some small wheels, do you?" interrupted Back to Front. "Only we're trying to make a skateboard, and we've run into a bit of a problem." Rupert stopped bouncing. "Struth! You? With a problem? This must be serious." Back to Front explained all about the wheels. "Say no more, Sport. Leave it to me. I'll make some inquiries." And with one enormous bounce, he was gone. Old Edward, Mr. Grimes' boyhood teddy bear, was just about to have a snooze after his big breakfast. Suddenly, Rupert bounced in. "Say, Edward, wake up! You don't happen to know where I can get my hands on some small wheels, do you?"
"Small wheels?" muttered Edward. "What on earth do you want small wheels for? I'd have thought you were mobile enough as it is."
"Ah, they're not for me," explained the kangaroo. "They're for the Raggy Dolls. They want to make a skateboard."
"A skateboard?" said the old teddy bear. "What's a skateboard?"
Rupert shrugged. "I don't know. Anyway, they're trying to make one, and I promised to find them some small wheels." Rupert began looking in the most unlikely places. Under cushions, potted plants, up the chimney.
"Oh, what are you doing?" said old Edward wearily. "I know where some are, but I don't see how you could use them."
Where? demanded Rupert eagerly.
"Well, they're on the tea trolley, but..."
Seconds later, he was back, clutching the 4 little casters from the legs of Mr. Grimes's tea trolley. "These'll do great, no worries. Thanks, Sport." The happy kangaroo kissed the old bear on the head and bounced out, leaving the old teddy still protesting.
"But you can't take them. Old Grimesy uses that tea trolley. Oh dear, what have I done?"
The Raggy Dolls had just finished breakfast and done the washing up when Rupert came bounding in. He was grinning from ear to ear. G'day is what I say, no matter what you do. Be it work or be it play, I'm the Roo for you." "Good heavens," said Dotty. "Poetry at this hour of the morning. What are you so pleased about?" "Ta-da!" Rupert produced the 4 little wheels with a flourish. "Wow!" stammered Hi-Fi. "They look perfect." "Come on," said Back to Front, not stopping to think where they came from. "Let's all go to the tool shed and put them on right away." In no time at all, Back to Front had fixed the wheels onto the board. He put one on each corner, and not only did they spin quite freely, they could also turn in any direction.
"Are you sure they should do that?"
said Sadsack. "Yeah, no problem," said Back to Front. "It just means you can go round corners easily, that's all. Come on, let's test it." Hi-Fi and Back to Front had already made a long ramp from a plank of wood that ran down to the concrete factory yard. They had also made helmets from little plastic flower pots and knee and elbow pads from old tennis balls. Lucy giggled.
Oh dear, I'm sorry, but you do look very comical.
Back to Front didn't mind. "Better safe than sorry," he said. "Do you want to go first, Hi-Fi?" No, it's okay. You can go first if you like." Back to Front proudly walked up the ramp with the skateboard and positioned it at the very top. "Don't Don't you think you ought to test it on level ground first? Said Dotty, becoming concerned. No problem, said the daring back to front. You've got to build up a bit of speed to test it properly. Everyone held their breath. Back to front carefully climbed onto the skateboard, but no sooner had he stood up than he started zooming down the plank. Whoa! He yelled. Oh my goodness! Exclaimed Lucy. He went so fast that as soon as he reached the concrete of the yard, he started spinning round and round, as fast as a spinning top. The others rushed over and gathered round him. Back to front looked up, and was still so dizzy the others seemed to be floating slowly around him. Wow, was all he could say. Are you all right? Asked Dotty. What do you think of the wheels then? Said Rupert, rather inappropriately.
I knew they weren't the right sort,
said Sad. Back to front slowly picked himself up, just as old Edward and Mr. Marmalade, the factory cat, arrived on the scene.
Is Back to Front hurt?
Asked Mr. Marmalade. No, I'm all right, said Back to Front, thanks to my knee pads and helmet.
Good,
said the big ginger cat. Then I must insist that you return the wheels to Mr. Grimes's tea trolley immediately. The Raggy Dolls looked at Rupert. So that's where you got them from, said Dotty. Honestly, Rupert, you should have known better. Well, I tried to tell him, but he was in too much of a hurry, said old Edward. Chuckled Mr. Marmalade. Rather like our dizzy friend Back to Front. Now, if only you'd come to me, I could have told you where a real skateboard is. What? Gasped Back to Front. Really? Where? Do you mean to say that you still wish to pursue this absurd vehicular activity? The Raggy Dolls nodded. Oh, very well, sighed Mr. Marmalade. He told them where to find the skateboard. It was in the cupboard under the stairs in Mr. Grimes's cottage. It belonged to Oz, one of Mr. Grimes's nephews. Boz had broken his, and the terrible twins had argued so much that he'd had no choice but to confiscate it. And so, for the rest of the day, the Raggy Dolls whizzed happily about the factory yard on the proper skateboard, pushed along by Rupert's powerful big feet. No worries is the thing to say. Ask any kangaroo. The Raggy Dolls can skate all day. Fair dinkum and yahoo!
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy dolls are happy just to be Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
I really like that.
We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show! Pop will be back after the break. We're watching Pop!
Coming soon on Pop, all new cartoons, brand new characters, brand new adventures.
Come and see what we've been doing. We've been rehearsing the show, but Tom thinks I've been overacting a bit.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a little spot of enthusiasm, and you'll have a chance to put it to good use at the school festival.
That'd be brilliant!
Well, I tell you what. We'd better have some lemonade and sandwiches first, and then you can give me the special preview of the Tom and Vicky Extravaganza!
was a super duper episode. Next, we're off to Grimes Toy Factory to see the Raggy Dolls.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
When the Raggy Dolls had heard that Mr. Grimes was planning to go hiking, they'd all agreed it would be fun to go with him. But now, halfway up a mountain, they were lost.
I said we wouldn't be able to keep up with him,
moaned Sadsack. What are we going to do? Said Lucy, trying not to be frightened. We mustn't panic, said Dotty. Let's think of something. The Raggy Dolls sat and thought. Only the night before, it had all seemed so easy. They had crept through the cat flap into Mr. Grimes's cottage. Mr. Grimes had packed a big rucksack with extra socks and walking gear. There was just enough room in the top for the Raggy Dolls to squash in. The next day, after a long drive, Mr. Grimes parked his car at the top of a bumpy track in a small tourist's car park. While he was putting his boots on, the Raggy Dolls had slipped out of the rucksack and hidden behind a stone. They had watched Mr. Grimes set off briskly up the mountain path and then followed him. The sun was high in the sky and very hot.
I knew we wouldn't be able to keep up with him,
thought Sadsack. If only we had a map, sighed Princess. And a compass, added Hi-Fi. If only we knew what time it was, said Back to Front. Then we could work out where south is from the sun. True, said Dotty, but without a map, we don't know what direction to take. One thing is certain, said Claude. We cannot just remain here. Claude's right, said Dotty. Let's follow this path. It might lead us to a signpost. The Raggy Dolls had no choice. They set off along the path, not knowing where it would lead them. On and on they trudged, right round the mountain, but they found no signposts, only more mountains. Some sheep were grazing nearby. Suddenly, a lamb hopped out from behind some rocks.
Lost, eh?
He bleated. The Raggy Dolls nodded, too tired to speak.
Where do you want to get to?
The lamb listened as Dotty explained how they had to find Mr. Grimes's car in order to get home again.
No cars up here, said the lamb. You have to go down to find cars.
Of course, said Dotty. Good thinking. If we go down the mountain, we're sure to find a road. The Raggy Dolls thanked the lamb and set off down a steep path that the sheep used. It was much easier going down than up. The Raggy Dolls skipped and jumped until they found themselves standing by a long, straight, grassy track that led over the brow of a hill. Well, it's not much of a road, but at least it does seem to go somewhere. But where? Said Lucy. All the exercise had made Sadsack feel quite dizzy. He noticed a nearby stone that was just right for sitting on. He was just about to sit on it when he spotted some letters carved on the side.
What does this mean?
He asked. The others looked. It said, Via Romani. It's Latin, stammered Hi-Fi. It means Roman road. Then it must lead somewhere, said Dotty. The Romans always built their roads in a straight line, the shortest distance between two places. Yeah, but how far away are the places? Warned Back to Front.
Those Romans used to march for hundreds of miles.
Then we'll just have to be like the Romans, said Dotty. Come on, troops, best foot forward. Sad Sack groaned and wondered where Dotty got her energy from. Come along, Sad Sackius, teased Lucy. It's not far to Rome. On and on the Raggy Dolls marched, up one hill and down another. The hot sun shone down, and Sad Sack began to drop further and further behind. He began to imagine what it was like to be a Roman soldier. He felt heavy, as though he was wearing a helmet, and armor, and carrying a spear, and a shield. Then he noticed the others. They were dressed as Romans too.
It's not fair, thought Sad Sack. Why can't I be emperor?
Column, halt! Just then, Dotty held up her hand. Rest here, everyone. I shall go on ahead. Back to Frontiers, come with me.
At once, General Dotius,
said Back to Front, giving a Roman salute. Claude and Hi-Fi gently lowered Princess, while Lucy kept on fanning. Oh, Claudius, sighed Princess, this journey is so tedious. Sing me her song. Claude bowed and picked up a stringed instrument. Sing to me of cool fountains and sweet blossoms. And Lucius, commanded Princess, please try not to make so much noise with that fan. Sad Sack could not believe his ears. Lucy said nothing and gave a little curtsy, even though she knew the ostrich feathers made no sound at all.
This is outrageous, thought Sad Sack. If I was emperor, I'd soon put a stop to all this slavery.
As if by magic, Sad Sack found himself dressed in a toga and wearing a crown of laurel leaves. He stuck out his chest and walked grandly towards the others. He was just about to give them a piece of his mind when he tripped on his toga. Oh no, said Princess. The Emperor has fallen down. The others rushed to help him. They carried him to a nearby stream, where they splashed cold water on his face.
It's all right, he mumbled. You don't have to do it. I've abolished slavery.
What are you talking about? Said Lucy. I think perhaps he has a touch of the sun, n'est-ce pas? Said Claude. Sad Sack sat up and blinked. His friends were back to normal again.
Sorry, he said. I don't know what came over me.
You collapsed, said Hi-Fi. Just then, Dotty and Back to Front returned. Good news, said Dotty. We found someone who can take us to the car park. It was a friendly old sheep with curly horns. This is what rambling's all about, declared Dotty. Skylarks sang, and cool, fresh mountain air, mixed with the scent of heather, made them all feel very happy indeed. It was late afternoon by the time they got to the little car park. The Raggy Dolls thanked the sheep and said goodbye, just as Mr. Grimes came hobbling down the mountain path. He was weak at the knees, but he'd become a dedicated rambler. Later that evening, after a slap-up tea of sausages and mash, the Raggy Dolls agreed it was the best day out they'd ever had, apart from getting lost. Next time we'll be more prepared, said Dotty.
Next time, groaned Sad Sack. Are we going again?
Yeah, said Back to Front. Why not? You never know, said Lucy. You might get to like it.
We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show!
Next, we're off to Grimes Toy Factory to see the Raggy Dolls.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. check in. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was a bright and breezy morning, and the Raggy Dolls were deciding what to do that day.
Well, I think we should all go sailing,
said Dotty.
It's perfect sailing weather.
But I need some help to fly my new kite, said Back to Front. I've been waiting for a windy day like this. Sad Sack sighed.
I don't mind what we do, as long as we have a nice picnic lunch.
And so it was decided. They would go sailing, find a picnic spot, fly the kite all afternoon, and be back in time for tea. While the others prepared the picnic, Hi-Fi went off with Back to Front to fetch the kite. Golly, said Hi-Fi when he saw the kite. It's as big as you. No problem, grinned Back to Front. It comes to pieces so you can carry it without being blown over. Hi-Fi helped him remove the wooden struts and fold the material. In no time at all, the Raggy Dolls were on their way down to the river, arms loaded with picnic things, bits of kite, and extra string. You never can tell how much weight you need on the tail to make it fly straight, explained Back to Front. Oh, said Sad Sack, more interested in sausage rolls and fish paste sandwiches. By the time they reached their boat, the Spirit of Adventure, Lucy began to have second thoughts.
Oh my, she said. Look at the trees. Don't you think it's getting a bit too windy?
No problem, said Back to Front. It's perfect kite weather.
Ah, yes, said Sad Sack. But what about sailing?
We'll be all right, said Dotty. All we have to do is trim the sails. Dotty was right. With just the front sail, the Spirit of Adventure skimmed smoothly across the sparkling water in the bright sunshine. The occasional gust made the boat lean over from time to time, but it was more fun than frightening. Soon the old windmill came into sight. Recently renovated, it was now a working museum, and the sails were turning round and round quite briskly.
Let's picnic in the field opposite,
called Dotty.
We can watch the windmill while we eat.
With the boat securely moored and hidden in the reeds, the Raggy Dolls set off across the field with the kite and the picnic things to look for a suitable spot. Some cows were laying down in the far corner, and Lucy began to get nervous.
Do you think those cows will mind us using their field?
She asked timidly.
Not at all, said Dotty. Cows don't bother anyone.
At last they decided on a soft grassy hump to sit on. But when they tried to set out the picnic things, the wind kept blowing the tablecloth all over them.
Sacre bleu!
Exclaimed Claude.
This is no good. How about under that big tree?
He pointed to a tall oak tree in the middle of the field. It had an enormous trunk and huge spreading roots.
Good thinking, said Dotty. We should be sheltered there.
Again, Dotty was right. Between the big roots there was hardly any wind at all. The Raggy Dolls set out the picnic and ate a hearty lunch.
Does anybody want the last sausage roll?
Asked Sad Sack politely. The others shook their heads, but just as Sad Sack reached out, a big bird came fluttering down and landed with a bump in the middle of the tablecloth. It was a young crow. Everyone was so surprised they didn't know what to do.
Oh, excuse me,
said the bird, flapping about unhurt.
I thought I was ready to fly. Sorry.
The Raggy Dolls listened as the young bird explained how he'd been stretching his wings when the wind suddenly caught him and blew him out of the nest.
Never mind, said Lucy. You look as though you're ready to fly. I'm sure it won't be long before you can.
The young crow shook his head.
Not today. Not in this wind.
Well, it's too risky for you to stay on the ground, said Dotty. We'll have to help you get back up into your nest.
The Raggy Dolls looked up at the tree. Even the lowest branches were far above their heads. It was impossible for them to climb. Suddenly, Back to Front had a brainwave. "I know," he said. "We'll use the kite."
But how?
said Lucy. Back to Front explained his plan. He would tie himself to the tail of the kite, and the wind would lift him and the bird as high as the top of the tree. The others could pull him until he was just above the tree. Then he could climb down and put the bird back in the nest.
Are you sure it'll work? Said Dotty. It sounds a bit risky to me.
No problem, said Back to Front. It's a big kite. It can easily take my weight. No one had a better idea. And so, the Raggy Dolls prepared to launch the kite, with Back to Front tied to the end of the extra long tail, holding the young bird. The wind was so strong that Claude and Hi-Fi had to struggle to hold the kite upright. At last, the others pulled the string tight, and the kite rose very quickly up into the air. Back to Front nearly lost hold of the bird as he was yanked off the ground. "Whoa!" he called, already nearly as high as the tree.
Are you all right?
called Dotty.
No problem,
came the reply. The bird had his eyes shut. Was all he said. Claude and Hi-Fi rushed to help the others. The higher the kite flew, the more strength it needed to hold the string. At last, Back to Front was as high as the tree, but no matter how hard they tried, the Raggy Dolls could not pull him over it. "It's no use," moaned Sad Sack. "We'll have to pull him down." But they couldn't manage that either.
Oh dear,
wailed Lucy.
I can't hold on. My arms are coming off. Hang on, whatever you do,
yelled Dotty. No one noticed the big friendly cow who had slowly wandered across the field to see what was going on. "Moo," she said. "What are you trying to do?" Dotty quickly explained. The sleepy cow helped them wrap the kite string around her neck, and then effortlessly pulled the dangling Back to Front to just above the tree. He cut himself free and grabbed a branch with his legs, and the kite flew far, far away.
Oh dear,
said Lucy.
We've lost the kite. Never mind, said Dotty. It was far too big for us to manage anyway.
She turned to thank the cow, but it was already plodding back to the rest of the herd. She'd had enough excitement for one day. Meanwhile, Back to Front had climbed down into the tree and returned the bird to the nest. Now he sat on the lowest branch, wondering how to get down. He was still very high up. "He'll have to jump," stammered Hi-Fi.
"But he'll hurt himself,"
protested Lucy. No, he won't," said Hi-Fi, pointing to the tablecloth. "Good thinking," said Dotty. The Raggy Dolls held out the tablecloth, and Back to Front jumped and landed safely in the middle. Later that evening, back in the reject bin, 7 very tired Raggy Dolls yawned and prepared to go to sleep.
"Sorry we lost your kite,"
said Lucy, in case Back to Front was upset. "No problem," he said. "Anyway, I've gone off kites."
"I'm not surprised," said Princess. "It must have been awful being up so high."
Back to Front shook his head. "Oh, no, it was great. I'll do it properly next time." "What do you mean?" said Sad Sack. Back to Front grinned. "I'm going to build myself a hang glider."
"Zut alors," said Claude. "Good night, everybody. Pleasant dreams."
And in no time at all, they were all fast asleep.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your 2 left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy dolls are happy just to be Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
Wasn't that an exciting episode?
We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show!
We'll be right back.
the best for tunes and tunes.
Congrats!
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
The Raggy Dolls were out for a walk. They were on their way to see old Hercules, the retired cart horse. Rupert the Roo had decided he would like to come too.
You'll have to speak up when you meet old Hercules, said Dotty. I'm afraid he's a little hard of hearing.
More like stone deaf,
thought Sad Sack. No worries, said the kangaroo, pleased to be out and about. At last, they reached the gate to Hercules' field, but there was no sign of him.
That's odd,
said Back to Front.
He's normally out in his field this time of year. I wonder where he could be.
Oh dear,
said Lucy.
I hope he's not feeling poorly. Let's all go down to the farm, said Princess, and make some enquiries. Good thinking, said Dotty. Maybe the other animals know something.
Everyone agreed. The Raggy Dolls approached the farm with caution. Sometimes big tractors rushed about, and there were lots of other bits of machinery and equipment that could be dangerous. They hid behind some straw bales and surveyed the scene. No one seemed to be about.
Look,
pointed Back to Front.
there's Wally the goose.
Let's ask him if he knows what's going on. But before anyone could make a move, Rupert the Roo bounced across the yard and said, "G'day, sport, how's it going?" Poor Wally was startled out of his wits. He flapped and ran away, honking.
Unk, unk, alien attack, unk, unk.
The noise woke up old Sam, the farm dog. He looked up, saw the Raggy Dolls, and came hobbling towards them. He had a stiff leg.
Oh, it's you. Hello,
he panted, trying to wag his tail.
Good to see you. Oh.
Sorry we scared Wally, said Hi-Fi.
Oh, don't mind him,
said the friendly old farm dog.
He always thinks he's on guard.
The Raggy Dolls introduced Rupert and explained they were looking for old Hercules. Sam was puzzled.
He's not in his field, you say? Well, I don't know. I have been asleep. It's such a hot day. I don't suppose you could get me a bowl of water?
Of course, said Princess. But when she looked in his bowl, it was already full of water. She very nearly laughed and wanted to tell him, but she quickly realized it would be kinder not to.
Here you are,
she said, winking at the others.
Oh, thanks. You are kind. Why don't you go and look in his stable? Sorry I can't be more help. I better lie down. It's the leg, you know.
As soon as Sam was comfortable, the Raggy Dolls said goodbye and made their way to the stables. As they walked, Dotty had a quick word with Rupert.
Please, Rupert, I know you don't mean any harm, but do try not to bounce around quite so much. These animals are simply not used to kangaroos.
Rupert understood. It's truth, no worries. The last thing I want is all of them doing a Wally on me. There were 2 stables, one for Jeremy, the Welsh pony who belonged to Penelope, Farmer Brown's daughter, and one for Hercules. Both were empty.
This is most mysterious, said Claude. What is going on around here? The place seems deserted. Let's try the cowshed, suggested Lucy.
But when the Raggy Dolls peeped into the cowshed, it too appeared to be empty. Oh, they must all be out in the meadow, said Back to Front, chewing the cud or whatever it is they do. Said Dotty.
Let's go and see the pigs.
But the pigs were too busy laying on their sides in the mud to know what was going on. One of them suggested they go and ask the chickens. They were always gossiping. They were sure to know. Most of the chickens were out, ranging about, but 2 broody hens sat on their nest boxes, protecting their eggs. As soon as they saw the Raggy Dolls, they squawked in alarm. "Don't be afraid," said Princess. "We only want some information." "No, you don't. You want our eggs." Dotty realised she had to be firm. "Please be quiet." The hens paid attention. "Thank you," said Dotty. "All we want to know is what's happened to Hercules. Do you know where he is?" The hens looked at one another and shook their heads sadly. They took turns to speak.
They took him away. This morning. In a horse box.
The Raggy Dolls were stunned. Surely Farmer Brown would never sell old Hercules. He'd already been put out to grass. His hard-working days were over. They couldn't bear to think of where he had been taken. "Oh, I see. Thank you." The Raggy Dolls returned to the straw bales and sat down in silence. No one could think of anything to say. Rupert the Roo cleared his throat. "It's a pity I never got to meet him. He sounded quite a character." The Raggy Dolls nodded, and even the boisterous kangaroo was lost for words. Just then, Farmer Brown's daughter Penelope came riding into the yard on Jeremy, her Welsh pony. At the same time, Trevor, the farm apprentice, emerged from the barn. "Oh, hello, Penny," he said. "How did the jumping practice go?" Penelope patted her pony. "He's a clever boy. Didn't put a foot wrong. 2 clear rounds." "Well done. I reckon you're in with a chance tomorrow." The Raggy Dolls listened, horrified that Penny and Trevor could be so cheerful after poor old Hercules had been taken away. "Well, we'll see. Is Daddy back yet?" "Not yet, no. Just as well. I've only just finished painting the wagon." "Oh, look," said Penelope. "Here he comes now." A big horse box drew into the yard, and in no time at all, the back was opened, and out stepped Hercules, with his mane all trimmed, polished hooves, and 4 new horseshoes. The Raggy Dolls gasped in delight. They watched as Farmer Brown and Trevor wheeled a beautifully painted old-fashioned hay cart out of the barn. "There you are, old boy," said Farmer Brown. "What do you think of that?" Old Hercules nodded his approval, and Trevor led him away to his stable. "Give him plenty of hay and oats," ordered Farmer Brown. "He's got a long day tomorrow." As soon as they could, the Raggy Dolls joined Hercules in his stable. They climbed up on his manger so that he could hear what they had to say. "We were ever so worried about you," said Lucy.
"Oh, you needn't have hurried," said the old cart horse. "It's not until tomorrow." "What's happening tomorrow?"
demanded Sad Sack in his loudest voice. Old Hercules looked surprised.
"Don't you know?"
He lifted his head and stood proudly.
"It's the Royal County Show, and I'm to take part in a display of heavy horses."
"How exciting," said Princess. "Can we come too?" asked Hi-Fi.
"Oh, yes, there's lots to do,"
said Hercules.
"Polish the harness, shine up the brass. You can help me to get ready if you like."
The Raggy Dolls laughed. They couldn't think of anything else they'd rather do.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your 2 left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy dolls are happy just to be Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
Show! It's time to go underground now to meet Vernon, Toaster and Bubble and Squeak. It's the Tube Mice.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
Every morning at 8 o'clock, the Raggy Dolls heard this sound. It was the hooter on Mr. Grimes' toy factory, calling people to work. But for a whole week, the hooter didn't blow and no one came to work. The main gates were padlocked, and Mr. Grimes slipped in through a side door and sat in his office all alone, from morning to night. The Raggy Dolls could hear him muttering to himself.
I don't know. If it goes on like this, we'll have to close for good.
"What does he mean, close?" whispered Lucy. "Shut down! Stop making toys!" explained Dotty grimly. "But what will happen to us?"
It'll be out of the reject bin and into the dustbin, said Sad Sack. And that will be that.
Lucy began to tremble, so Claude cooked breakfast, which made them all feel better.
I suppose we might as well eat while we can,
said Sad Sack. He had 12 sausages, 4 cups of tea, and a whole loaf of bread, which made his tummy look even bigger than usual.
You won't fit into a dustbin,
said Back to Front.
That's the idea,
agreed Sad Sack. Later, when Mr. Grimes had gone home, the Raggy Dolls met in his office to see if they could discover anything useful. There were lots of opened letters on his desk.
This one says order cancelled, read Hi-Fi.
So does this one,
said Back to Front.
This one says we don't want any more old stock. We want new ideas for the spring.
Well, I'm going jogging, said Princess. Fresh air and exercise always helps when you're feeling upset.
Good thinking, agreed Dotty.
Count us in, said Back to Front, Hi-Fi, Claude and Lucy.
Count me out,
said Sad Sack. It was one of those bright spring mornings when the hedges are full of twittering birds. The Raggy Dolls jogged round and round the duck pond. Mother Duck had just hatched a new batch of ducklings. She was looking very pleased with herself.
The years passed ever so quickly, said Lucy. Do you remember the ducklings we had last spring?
Yeah, one of them got lost and thought Sad Sack was its mother,
chuckled Back to Front.
And Sad Sack thought it was a monster, laughed Hi-Fi.
On their way home, none of them noticed that a duckling was following them. Sad Sack was catching up on sleep. He didn't like soap and water very much, but the basin in Mr. Grimes's washroom was just the right shape for him. He was very comfortable. Sad Sack woke with a start. The noise came again, louder. At first he thought it was the plumbing. Then he realized it came from the other side of the washroom window. What on earth could it be? The Raggy Dolls were almost home.
Oh,
Phew! Well done, chaps, gasped Dotty.
I don't know whether I'm coming or going, groaned Back to Front.
You never do,
giggled Lucy.
Phew! I am, how you say, in done, exclaimed Claude.
You mean done in,
spluttered Hi-Fi.
So am I.
Oh, look, cried Princess. There's Sad Sack. Whatever is he up to?
Kitty, kitty, kitty,
called Sad Sack nervously. He had a mop in one hand, and he was trying to reach the gutter above without falling out of the window.
Don't be frightened, kitty,
called Sad Sack, trying not to be frightened himself. The kitten was a long way up, and the ground was a long way down. Hello, Sad Sack, called the Raggy Dolls. What do you think you're doing?
There's a kitten stuck up here, and I'm rescuing it,
explained Sad Sack.
Hang on, I'll come and help,
called Back to Front.
No problem.
Shall I call the RSPCA?
asked Hi-Fi.
No need. Look.
Oh my, isn't he clever? Gasped Lucy, because Back to Front had managed to persuade the kitten onto the end of the mop. Now he was pulling it down to safety. It seemed very large to the Raggy Dolls. However did he get up there? asked Princess. Must have climbed the drain pipe, said Back to Front. Kitten didn't stop meowing. Claude decided it was thirsty, so he fetched some of...
Thirsty. Gonna get juice. Hey, guard those fish, buddy boy. Don't let any dodo near them. My buddy. Bob? Where'd you go? Hey! Bob! You there? Where are you? Hiya, Elvis. Hi, Rocky. Who are you talking to? Oh, what do you mean? No one. No one. Hey, there's no invisible bird here. You think I buddy up to a bird I can't see? Not me, buddy. I'm not crazy. Hey, talking about crazy, where's your Oberon?
Oberon? Oberon left. He, Hey, how about you and me go for a juice?
Huh? You betcha! Face it, Rocky. There ain't any other birds. Is there? Nah!
You're disgusting!
I really enjoyed that episode. Did you?
We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show!
Keep watching Pop.
We're watching Pop!
Hey gang, VJ here with details of a wicked competition. To be in with a chance of winning one of these karaoke CD-ROM and microphone kits, all you have to do is answer this question. How many members are there in the boy band Vix? Are there A, 7,000, B, 32 or C, 5? You can enter by writing to VJ's Karaoke Giveaway, PO Box 34992, London SW6 4XB. Once again, that's VJ's Karaoke Giveaway, PO Box 34992, London SW6 4XB. or you can send an email to vj@popclub.tv. Don't forget to include your name, address and answer. Good luck, gang, and keep looking out for more competitions on Pop!
We're watching Pop! We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show! It's time for more fun with Lucy, Claude, Dotty, Back to Front, Sad Sack and Hi-Fi. It's the Raggy Dolls!
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
One fine day, the Raggy Dolls were up in the treehouse taking turns with Hi-Fi's homemade telescope. But Hi-Fi had lost interest. He was bored. Bored with games, bored with treehouses, bored with everything. But most of all, he was bored with his stammer. He yawned and watched the others.
I can see old Hercules,
Giggled Lucy.
He looks half asleep. Well, he deserves a rest,
Said Princess.
After all, he's worked hard all his life.
Let's have a go, said Back to Front. He swung the telescope towards the town.
I don't believe it,
he gasped.
I can see a flying elephant.
Let me see. It's just a big balloon,
she said at last.
probably advertising something.
I'm bored with telescopes.
Well, I'm not,
said Princess.
Come on, it's my turn.
She swung the telescope towards the factory.
Oh, I say,
she said.
Mr. Grimes is up to something.
Let's investigate, said Dotty. Mr. Grimes had bought a computer. He was watching the salesman setting it up.
I've been meaning to invest in one of these for ages, he said. I decided to take the plunge when I saw your jumbo sail balloon. Very amusing idea. Very eye-catching.
Oh, yes, said the salesman. We've sold a lot since we put that up. Maybe you should get a big doll balloon for your factory.
He laughed.
Well, I'd have to consider the expense,
said Mr. Grimes cautiously. Taking care not to be seen, the Raggy Dolls crept up to the canteen window. They could hear Florrie Fosdyke muttering to herself.
I don't know. That Mr. Grimes, he must have more money than sense. What does he want with a computer?
So that's it, whispered Back to Front. Oh, Grimes has got himself a computer.
Wow,
stammered Hi-Fi, no longer bored. I'd love a computer. I can't wait to try it. Up in the office, the salesman had finished setting up the computer.
There you are, Mr. Grimes, he said. This is your keyboard, your screen, and your printer. This is your software, different disk for different jobs, sales, costs, addresses, accounts. And by the way, as a special offer, here's a free game, Space Battles.
I doubt if I shall have time for that, said Mr. Grimes, beginning to get confused. Can you explain it all to me again?
Of course, said the salesman. It's quite straightforward. Remember, never switch on with a disk inserted. Never switch off without saving your input. Always store data in the memory.
At 5:30, when the factory hooter blew, Mr. Grimes was none the wiser. Everything seemed so complicated.
I give up,
sighed Mr. Grimes.
That's enough for today.
As soon as Mr. Grimes had locked up the factory, the Raggy Dolls crept into the office. In no time at all, Hi-Fi had switched on the computer. The screen started flashing. Insert disk.
I'm not sure we should be doing this,
said Lucy. Relax, said Back to Front. Hi-Fi knows what he's doing. Hi-Fi was examining the discs. He quickly found the one that said Space Battles.
Now for some fun,
he chuckled. The Raggy Dolls watched as Hi-Fi inserted the disc and the screen changed to show the controls of a spaceship. He pressed a button and the game was begun. The Raggy Dolls took turns, but Hi-Fi was easily the best. He got the highest score and reached the highest level.
I've had enough,
yawned Dotty.
It's making my eyes go all funny.
Everyone was tired, except Hi-Fi.
We can't stop now,
he stuttered.
We're at the highest level.
He pressed another button, and the computer made new sounds. The Raggy Dolls were amazed.
It's like being in a real spaceship,
whispered Lucy. Sad Sack looked around. The office had changed. There was a giant screen where the window used to be, and everything looked futuristic.
Don't look now,
he moaned.
But we are in a real spaceship.
And this is the control deck, gasped Back to Front. Hi-Fi was too busy to notice. He pressed a button and the Raggy Dolls zoomed off at the speed of light, deeper and deeper into outer space.
This is fun,
laughed Hi-Fi. The computer suddenly spoke to them.
Danger, danger, alien spacecraft approaching. Battle stations,
ordered Hi-Fi. But it was too late. There was a brilliant flash and the Raggy Dolls were frozen in time. Before they knew it, they were being beamed aboard a huge alien spaceship.
Scan the intruders,
ordered a voice from nowhere. The Raggy Dolls were laid on a moving table while a robot shone a beam.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls.
Made him perfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls.
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy
are
Dolls.
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
No, Florrie. I'm not blaming you. It's just that, well, we need to modernise here at Grimes Soft Toys. We must be more cost-effective.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Grimes.
So am I, Florrie, so am I. But in this day and age, every penny has to be spent wisely. Not only that, there have been complaints, you know.
Complaints? What complaints?
Now, don't say you've forgotten already. What about last Thursday?
Last Thursday? Now let me see. What did I make for lunch? Oh, I know. It was bacon flan and treacle tart.
No, it wasn't. It was bangers and mash and banana custard.
Well, what was wrong with that?
Nothing at all, except you put the sausages in the custard and the bananas in the mash.
It was early Monday morning and a sad day for the Raggy Dolls. Florrie Fosdyke, the absent-minded canteen lady, was about to lose her job. They sat gloomily in the treehouse, wondering what they could do about it.
The place won't be the same without Florrie,
said Sad Sack at last.
I know she's very forgetful,
said Lucy.
but surely Mr. Grimes will give her another chance. I don't think so, said Dotty. Once he's made up his mind, he can be jolly determined. Oh dear, sighed Princess. Poor Florrie, and it's all because of that silly inventor.
Only last Friday, a big van had arrived in the factory yard. A very odd-looking man got out and asked to see Mr. Grimes. The Raggy Dolls saw him drive in. They peeked around the corner of the factory wall as Mr. Grimes came down from his office to meet the man.
Ah, yes, indeed, Mr. Grimes. Pleased to meet you. Splendid, splendid. I am Professor Isaac Newton, inventor. It's very good of you to spare me some of your immensely valuable time.
Yes, well, I haven't got all day, you know, muttered Mr. Grimes. What is it you want to show me?
Ah, yes, indeed, gushed the Professor. I can see you are a man after my own heart. Straight to the point. No sense in beating about the bush, I say. Step this way.
Sacre bleu, said Claude. This professor can, how you say, talk the behind of a leg of the donkey. Shh, said Dotty. Listen.
Time is of the utmost importance in all things, I always say. I have something here that I'm sure will be of great interest to you. Something that can save you a great deal of time and, what's more, money.
Whatever can it be? Said Princess. We'd better take a look, said Dotty. Come on, chaps, don't let them see you.
The Professor and Mr. Grimes stood by the open back doors of the big van. The Raggy Dolls stared in amazement as a large mechanical robot on wheels rolled out of the back of the van.
Wow,
stammered Hi-Fi, really impressed.
My word, said Mr. Grimes. What on earth is that?
It's my very latest invention, said the Professor proudly. I call it the All-Purpose Economy Operative. It's got a brain of its own.
Do you mean that thing can think for itself? Said Mr. Grimes, suspiciously.
Oh, no, laughed the Professor. It can only think for you. It can do any job a human being can do, and then it works out how to do it quicker, and for less money.
Said Mr. Grimes, intrigued. Now, what job would you like to see it do?
Is there anywhere in your factory that could be more efficient?
Well, now that you mention it, we have been having a few problems with the canteen.
Splendid, splendid, bubbled the Professor. Show me what needs doing and I'll program my machine to improve on it.
Very well, said Mr. Grimes. This way.
The two men made their way into the factory, followed by the robot, while the Raggy Dolls ran around to the canteen window, just in time to see a demonstration.
Well now, said Mr. Grimes, let's see what it can do. Can it make a cup of tea?
But of course, said the Professor. It's already programmed for that. It can do the washing up at the same time, if you like. Once it knows where everything is, you just tell it what to do.
The Raggy Dolls watched as Mr. Grimes got out the tea bags, milk and sugar, the electric kettle in the teapot, some washing up liquid, and a dish mop.
Our canteen lady isn't here at the moment, said Mr. Grimes. She must be out shopping. Your machine can't do the shopping, can it?
Oh, better than that, said the Professor. It can telephone all the local shops, find the best prices, and have all the goods delivered free of charge. Now, just tell the robot to make a cup of tea and do the washing up.
Mr. Grimes felt a little foolish talking to a machine.
You do it, he said. No, I assure you the robot is voice-activated. It responds to any command from anyone, so long as it saves you time and money.
Mr. Grimes cleared his throat.
Robot, make me a cup of tea and do the washing up.
Understood, said the robot. And immediately, all sorts of extra arms and mechanical fingers got to work, turning on taps, filling the kettle, squirting washing up liquid, picking up tea bags. Mr. Grimes was very impressed.
Poor Florrie, sighed Lucy. Now that robot has been told where everything is and what to do, she won't be needed anymore.
It's all very, very sad,
said Sad Sack. Everyone agreed, except Back to Front. He'd been quiet for a very long time, and now he suddenly had a brainwave.
Eureka, he said. No problem. That machine is programmed to save time and money, right?
The others nodded.
And it's voice-activated. It listens to anyone, right?
The others nodded again, and Back to Front grinned.
Well, I think it's about time we had a little talk with that robot.
What do you mean?
Demanded Dotty.
Simply this.
And he whispered something in Dotty's ear.
What's going on?
Demanded Sad Sack.
Ha! Brilliant! Laughed Dotty. That really is good thinking. Come on, chaps. Back to Front will explain on the way. There's no time to lose.
Raggy Dolls to the rescue!
Yelled Back to Front. The Raggy Dolls arrived in the canteen just as the robot was about to make Mr. Grimes his morning cup of coffee.
Excuse me, Mr. Robot,
said Dotty.
Is it true that you are programmed to save time and money?
That is correct,
answered the robot. Then would you be so kind as to tell us what the most expensive part of a cup of coffee is?
The coffee,
said the robot immediately. Then it paused to think.
Understood. Eliminate the coffee.
What about milk and sugar? Said Lucy. That costs money too.
Understood,
said the robot.
Eliminate the milk and sugar.
How about the hot water? Said Claude. Oh yes, said Princess. Electricity is very expensive.
You even have to pay for cold water, added Sadsack.
Understood,
said the robot.
Understood.
Half an hour later, an angry Mr. Grimes came into the canteen, only to find the robot doing absolutely nothing.
Where's my cup of coffee?
A cup of coffee is a waste of time and money.
But I like my morning cup of coffee. And what about lunch? Where's the lunch?
No lunch. Save time.
But what about the workers? They've got to have something to eat.
Get rid of the workers. Save money.
This is ridiculous. Without the workers, there won't be any toys.
Close the factory. Toys are expensive and a waste of time.
Just then, Florrie Fosdyke came in.
I'm ever so sorry, Mr. Grimes, but I forgot my...
Oh, Florrie, said Mr. Grimes. Am I pleased to see you? Never mind what you've forgotten. Start making lunch. I've got a telephone call to make.
Telephone calls are expensive,
said the robot. And as for you, said Mr. Grimes, wagging a finger at the robot, I don't want to hear another word.
Understood,
said the robot. Outside the canteen window, the Raggy Dolls giggled and shook hands. They were really pleased that Florrie had got her old job back. And so was Mr. Grimes. He was so pleased, he even bought her a big box of chocolates.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, raggy. Check in, it's the Raggy Dolls. Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
One fine morning, just after breakfast, the Raggy Dolls set off across the fields towards the river. The Raggy Dolls' boat, the Spirit of Adventure, had spent the winter hidden in the reeds by the river bank, and now it needed a thorough clean-up before it could be used.
We must check everything from top to bottom, said Dotty.
Aye, aye, Captain, said Back to Front. The Raggy Dolls rubbed and scrubbed, polished and greased, and by lunchtime, the Spirit of Adventure was at last shipshape and gleaming like new.
Cast off,
ordered Dotty, and in no time at all, the Raggy Dolls were underway, heading downriver towards the open sea. This was to be no ordinary sailing trip. It was a proper expedition. The Raggy Dolls had brought plenty of food and drink, a map and compass, Hi-Fi's telescope, and sleeping bags. Sadsack had even brought a hot water bottle. The river got wider and wider, and in the distance, the Raggy Dolls could see some people windsurfing.
I hope they don't see us,
said Lucy.
We'll sail close to the riverbank,
said Dotty, altering course. But there was no need to worry. The windsurfers were far too busy concentrating on keeping their balance to notice the Raggy Dolls. Look out, warned Sadsack as quietly as he could. The Raggy Dolls were sailing right under a fishing rod. Luckily, the fisherman was taking a nap. Phew, said Back to Front. That was close.
Too close,
agreed Dotty. Just then, Princess spotted a gap in the riverbank.
It's another river,
she pointed.
Then let's explore it,
said Dotty.
Prepare to come about.
The Raggy Dolls were too busy with the ropes and sails to notice the sign that said, Private. The Spirit of Adventure sailed silently up the unknown river. It was quite narrow and the banks were thick with overgrown bushes and trees. A bright blue kingfisher watched them sail by, while startled rooks flapped and cawed in the treetops.
This is like being in the jungle, thought Sadsak.
The Raggy Doll sailed on and on until the sun began to set. Hi-Fi climbed the mast and looked through his telescope. Up ahead, he could see a lake with an island in the middle.
Land ho!
He called. Dotty steered for the island.
We'll camp here for the night, she said.
Good, thought Sadsak. All this exploring is making me hungry.
After a supper of corned beef sandwiches and orange squash, the Raggy Dolls crawled into their homemade sleeping bags. All except Sadsak. He had unrolled his hot water bottle and filled it from the lake.
What on earth are you going to do with that?
Yawned Dotty.
I'm not sleeping on lumpy ground, he explained. This is my waterbed.
The Raggy Dolls laughed and wished each other good night. It had been a long, tiring day, and very soon they were all fast asleep. None of them knew that ever since they had set foot on the island, they had been watched by thoughtful, unseen eyes. In the morning, the Raggy Dolls woke up to another fine day. They yawned and stretched and rolled up their sleeping bags.
What's for breakfast? Said Back to Front. I'm starving.
Never mind that, said Lucy. Where's Sadsak?
There was no sign of him, just his hot water bottle.
Perhaps he's on the boat,
suggested Princess. No, said Dotty seriously.
I don't think so. Look.
She pointed to a strange footprint next to where Sadsak had been sleeping.
Sacré bleu, said Claude. That is no footprint ordinaire. It is more like an hand.
Lucy began to tremble.
Oh, I don't like this. What's happened to poor Sadsak?
Sadsak was very comfortable. He was still fast asleep, but up a tree, cradled in the arms of a young gorilla. The gorilla tickled him under the chin. Sadsak sleepily opened his eyes. He looked at the gorilla and smiled, then closed his eyes again.
I must be dreaming, he thought. That just proves how comfortable waterbeds can be.
Meanwhile, the Raggy Dolls were wondering what to do. Maybe we should follow the tracks, suggested Back to Front.
No, it might be dangerous, said Dotty. Let's get the map and see if we can work out where we are.
Hi-Fi quickly got the map and spread it on the ground. Princess pointed to the river.
That must be the place where we turned off. There's no other river on the map.
That's right, agreed Back to Front. Look, there's the lake with the island.
Oh no,
groaned Dotty.
We've sailed right into the middle of Lord Stonybroke's safari park.
By now, Sadsak was fully awake and being offered a banana.
Thank you, he said. It's very kind of you. Are you sure you don't...
The young gorilla didn't speak. He just looked at Sadsak as if to say, I'm sick of bananas. We have them nearly every day. The young gorilla looked sad. His eyes told Sadsak that it wasn't much fun being stuck on an island being laughed at by people in boats. Just then, the gorilla's mother appeared. She was enormous. She wanted to know who he was and what he was doing here. Sadsak introduced himself. The mother gorilla listened as he explained how the Raggy Dolls had accidentally landed on their island. The mother sighed a deep sigh. Oh well, you're welcome to stay, but it is very boring here. The young gorilla was delighted and hugged Sadsak so tight he couldn't speak. Meanwhile, the Raggy Dolls were following the young gorilla's tracks. They looked up and saw Sadsak.
Oh no, wailed Lucy. He's been squeezed to death.
No sooner had she spoken when a huge hand picked her up. It was the daddy gorilla. He gently lifted Lucy up and looked into her eyes. Don't be scared, he said, but you'd better hide. The first boatload of visitors is on its way. The Raggy Dolls hid and watched as a motor launch crowded with people approached the island. The people behaved very badly. Some took photographs, but others laughed and jeered and threw bananas, even though they weren't supposed to. "How awful," said Princess when they'd gone. "People can be so beastly sometimes," agreed Dotty. It was hard to explain to the young gorilla that the Raggy Dolls really couldn't stay with his family on the island, but he nodded his head, sadly, to say he understood. Sadsack was saddest of all. He picked up his hot water bottle. "You can keep this if you like," he said. The young gorilla was overjoyed. He snatched the hot water bottle and scampered away. "Come on, Sadsack," said Dotty kindly. "There's nothing we can do. Let's go before the next boat comes." The Raggy Dolls were very quiet as they sailed away from Gorilla Island. Sadsack borrowed Hi-Fi's telescope for one last look. Suddenly, he chuckled. "Ha ha! Quick! Come and look at this!" Another boat had arrived at the island. People were throwing bananas, but the young gorilla was having the time of his life, batting the bananas back with the hot water bottle.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face. Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Look around and you will find people of every kind, like the Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, are happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
Wasn't that an exciting episode?
We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show!
We'll be right.
We're watching Pop Plus. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show! Next on Pop, it's Tom and Vicky.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy Dolls,
Raggy
are
Dolls,
happy just to be Raggy Dolls, Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
It was Saturday morning, and all the Raggy Dolls were doing different things. Lucy was in her vegetable garden, doing some weeding. Back to Front was in the shed, sorting out his tools. Claude and Sadsack were in the canteen, thinking about doing some cooking. Hi-Fi had found an old radio that Mr. Grimes had thrown out. Princess was in the storeroom, mending a tear in her dress, and Dotty was in the treehouse, reading a book. The only person with nothing to do was Rupert the Roo. He bounced across the factory yard in search of his Raggy Doll chums. On the way, he met Mr. Marmalade, the factory cat.
"Good day,"
he said cheerfully.
"How's Trix?"
"Trix," said Mr. Marmalade, who didn't much care for bouncy kangaroos. "If you are inquiring as to the state of my general well-being, I'm happy to say that I find myself in exceedingly good health."
"Struth," thought Rupert. "Why use a few words when a couple of thousand will do?" "Ah, good on you," he said. "You don't know where the Raggy Dolls are, do you?"
In the canteen, Claude and Sadsack had found a big packet of beef burgers left out on the draining board. Florrie Fosdyke, the absent-minded canteen lady, had obviously forgotten to put them away.
These should be in the freezer, said Sadsack.
Mais oui, said Claude. Now they will have to be eaten or thrown away. Just then, Rupert hopped into the canteen. "G'day, sports. What's cooking?" "Unfortunately, it is les beef burgers," said Claude, who'd set his heart on cooking something more exotic. "Great," said Rupert. "What's wrong with beef burgers?" "They are boring," declared Claude. Sadsack was just about to say that he didn't think any food was boring when Rupert had one of his bright ideas. "I know. Let's cook 'em on a barbie. Everything tastes great on a barbie."
"What's a barbie?"
demanded Sadsack. "I think he means a barbecue, n'est-ce pas?" said Claude. "Too right," nodded the kangaroo. "Where's back to front?" On their way to the tool shed, Claude, Sadsack and Rupert passed by Lucy's vegetable garden.
Hello,
she said.
What are you up to?
"We're going to make a barbecue," said Sadsack, "and cook beef burgers outdoors."
What fun, said Lucy. I'll pick some lettuce for a salad, and I've got more tomatoes than I know what to do with.
Claude suddenly got very enthusiastic.
Merveilleux! Then I shall prepare a sauce de tomates you will not believe. It is mon speciality.
"And I'll bake some buns,"
announced Sadsack, not to be outdone.
Yahoo! Now you're talking,
said Rupert. Back to Front was delighted by the barbecue idea when Rupert told him. "Course I'll help. What do we need?" "Ah, not a lot," said Rupert. "Just a few bricks, a grill, and a tin to burn the wood in." "No problem," said Back to Front, just as Hi-Fi burst in. "I've found an old radio," he stammered, "but I can't carry it by myself." "No worries," said Rupert. "I'll give you a hand." Hi-Fi explained how he wanted to use the speaker from the radio instead of his headphones. "That's great," said Back to Front. "Then we can all have music at the barbecue."
Yeah,
said the bouncy kangaroo. "We can have an outdoor disco with a tucker. Yahoo!" As they crossed the factory yard, Rupert was explaining to Hi-Fi all about the barbecue when they met Princess.
"I've just spoken to Claude and Sadsack. Is there anything I can do to help?"
"Sure is," said Rupert. "We'll need lots and lots of dry twigs." Then Hi-Fi told her about his plan for disco music.
"Oh, how exciting," said Princess. "I can't wait to tell Dotty. Do you know where she is?"
Dotty had just finished reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
"What a strange book," she thought. "So many odd characters. I'm not sure I would like a dream like that."
She got up and looked out over the big field, half expecting to see a white rabbit or a dodo, a mad hatter or a March hare. Instead, she saw Princess gathering dried twigs.
"What are you doing?"
she called. Princess looked up.
"Oh, there you are. Do come down. I've got so much to tell you."
Back in the canteen, Lucy had prepared a salad, Sadsack had baked some buns, and Claude was putting the finishing touches to his special tomato sauce. Back to Front and Rupert had made a barbecue from a dustbin lid and some chicken wire, supported on a circle of bricks. "The beauty of it is that it's completely portable," said Rupert. "We can set it up anywhere we like." "And the same goes for the music," said Back to Front. "We fixed the speaker from the radio in my wheelbarrow. It works a treat, doesn't it?" Hi-Fi nodded. "All systems go," he said. At last, Dotty and Princess arrived.
"This is going to be the best thing we've done for ages," said Dotty. "Whose idea was it?"
Everyone looked at everyone else.
"No one's really,"
said Lucy at last.
"It was all of us. It just seemed to happen."
Claude agreed.
It is not important. The best things are like this, a surprise for everyone.
Suddenly, Princess began to sob.
"Oh dear, it's such a nice idea. I'd like to dress up, but I haven't got anything to wear."
She looked at her dress of rags in dismay.
"Please don't think I'm silly."
"You're not silly at all,"
said Dotty. I think it's a brilliant idea. We should all dress up. Let's make it a fancy dress party. Oh, yes, said Lucy. We can make our own costumes. There's lots of stuff in the storeroom.
But what are we going to be? Demanded Sad Sack.
I think we should have a theme, said Dotty. We've all read the book. Let's come as characters from Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, no problem, said Back to Front. We can put all the names in a hat, each pick one out, and decide that way who to be. Everyone agreed, and Princess was as happy as could be. Later that evening, in the middle of the big field, the Raggy Dolls danced to Hi-Fi's music. They munched barbecued beef burgers in homemade buns with special tomato sauce and salad. Princess came as Alice and danced with Claude, the white rabbit. Hi-Fi and Back to Front came as Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Sad Sack made himself a tail and a big cardboard smile on a stick and came as the Cheshire Cat. Dotty picked the Mad Hatter and Lucy the March Hare. And Rupert was the bounciest and silliest looking caterpillar you've ever seen. Struth! This is the best Barbie I've ever been to. It's not just a Barbie, it's a disco too, called Princess Alice. And a fancy dress party, added Lucy, with her ears flopping up and down.
It's a barbecue ball,
said Sad Sack behind his big wide grin. Whatever it was, it didn't really matter. The Raggy Dolls had a wonderful time.
Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy dolls, made imperfectly. So if you're not at ease with your knobbly knees and your fingers are all thumbs, stand on your two left feet and join our Raggy Doll chums. 'Cause Raggy dolls are happy just to be. Raggy dolls, dolls like you and me.
I'm a cheeky monkey. We're the Cheeky Monkeys and it's our show. Let's see what the Raggy Dolls are up to in this next episode.
It's not much of a life when you're just a pretty face.
Just to be whoever you are is no disgrace. Don't be scared if you don't fit in. Look who's in the reject bin. It's the Raggy Dolls. Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me. Raggy Dolls, made imperfectly. So if you got a bump on your nose or lumps on your toes, do not despair. Be like the Raggy Dolls and say I just don't care. 'Cause Raggy Dolls are happy just to be. Raggy Dolls, dolls like you and me.
Early one morning, Back to Front was in the tool shed, finishing off one of his inventions. It was a very elaborate sort of thingamy-come-what's-it, with lots of tubes and metal bits. Now, thought Back to Front, all it needs is a bit of a polish, and then I can show it to the others. No problem. He looked around for a clean piece of rag, but all he could find was a small bit, too oily and dirty for polishing. He decided to look outside. Meanwhile, the other Raggy Dolls were in the canteen, washing up the breakfast things. The others dried, stacked, and put away the dishes and the spoons.
I hate washing up,
announced Sad Sack crossly.
Too bad, said Dotty. Today's Wednesday and it's your turn.
Sadsack groaned and slopped out another bowl. The toy factory was on holiday for 2 weeks, and that meant no Florrie Fosdyke, the canteen lady. The Raggy Dolls had all agreed to take turns with the washing up.
This bowl is not properly clean, said Claude. There is still a cornflake stuck to it.
I don't know why we don't use paper plates, moaned Sadsack. Then we could just throw them away.
You should be glad we're all helping you,
said Lucy. Sadsack comforted himself with the thought that tomorrow was Thursday and it would be Back to Front's day. Back to Front, meanwhile, had spotted a whole pile of suitable rags around the back of the tool shed. That's a funny place to keep a pile of rags, he thought. Just as he was about to pick one up, he noticed the pile moving gently up and down, as though it was breathing. There's something underneath it, he thought. He listened very carefully, and sure enough, he could hear the faint sound of snoring. Back to Front quickly found a long stick and was just about to poke the pile of rags when he had second thoughts. "I'd better get the others," he muttered. "No sense in taking any chances." Sadsack had just finished washing up when Back to Front rushed in. "There's something behind the tool shed," he gasped. "What sort of something?" demanded Dotty. "I don't know. It's alive and breathing. You can hear it." Back to Front quickly explained about the pile of rags. "Let's investigate," said Dotty.
"Couldn't we wait until it goes away?"
suggested Lucy.
"It might be dangerous,"
she added. Lucy's right, stammered Hi-Fi. We better take precautions.
"Good thinking," said Dotty. "We'll use saucepans for helmets and dustbin lids for shields."
The Raggy Dolls looked like a small army as they crept nervously towards the tool shed.